Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the show today. This is Comics News Today for the 16th of August. Damn, this year is burning past, and we have a little over 3 years for it to continue to burn. Because it will burn, bitches. That's what's happening. Anyway, hey, what's up, Thundera? What you doing? What's up?
Nothing. Just
Nothing.
sitting, about to talk some nonsense. My wife, if you hear any background noise, my wife's watching a movie. But other than that, nothing.
That's good because I thought you had a hip hop battle going on in the house, and I was like, damn, I didn't even get an invite. I could do me some hip hop. I used to belong to a group called the Egyptians when I was like 12.
Oh boy, that
Yeah,
there's something I need to see.
yeah. Actually, we were really good, dude. No, no, I mean, we were. You got to keep in mind, I was actually quite athletic boy. Yeah, I wasn't necessarily good, but I was kind of like normal. Like in every sport I did except for fencing, I was really good at that. I was normal, and I was really good third down linebacker too. But I mean, I did a lot of athletics, man. I wasn't. People have this image of me of being this awkward, clumsy. I don't know what is the damn image of me over here. What is that?
I don't think you want to know the answer.
I think I've created a monster is what I've done, but it's all right. Nevertheless, happy to have you in here. We were talking a little bit about dieting here. Thundero's been doing a real good job dieting, and you're like in your mid 30s, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I around that time, maybe closer to my late 30s, I had that, as I told you before, I had that diabetes scare, and I got serious, and I kind of did the same thing you're doing right now and lost a bunch of weight. And then, you go through stages, of course. So I'm real happy for you, man. I think it's cool. I think we'd all should take a little bit more care of our health.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. It's better for you. You feel more. It's weird when when you tire yourself with exercise, you actually end up with more energy. Isn't that odd?
Yes. And you
Yeah.
also don't eat as much.
No,
Like I've noticed when you're out and about doing things, even if you're just doing stuff, right? You just don't eat as much. You're not as hungry because your mind isn't focused on that. You're just
that's
doing
right.
whatever. So also the same with exercise. I've noticed when the days where we go for we all we've been really doing is just going for long walks and then I'll lift, and that's all you got to do. It really you don't have to do some crazy regimen or anything. You just got to get out there and enjoy nature for an hour,
Yeah,
45 minutes,
that's
go for
right.
a walk.
Yeah,
That's it.
30 minutes a day is what I do,
Yep.
and it works just fine for me. But that's good. Culfin video just left the gym. Nice. But
Nice.
yeah, no, it is interesting. And the funny thing is, I never actually was a big eater, meaning like tons of food at a time. I just ate absolutely the wrong food at the absolute worst time was my problem. And in changing that, I lost weight very quickly, and I've kept it off. I mean, I don't have the cut I used to have when I was young, but that's okay. I got a normal dad body, right?
Yeah.
It's good enough for me. But the funny thing in this household, and even my wife's dad, even makes mentions this. My kids and my wife eat way more than I do. They like devour incredible amounts of food, and those people, all three of them, are in incredible shape, right? My son is actually got into bodybuilding. He's starting to get quite cut. I think he's as big as I was at my best. The problem is he's got a little of that Asian bone because when I was doing football, my max bench was about 310, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
isn't great, but I mean it's pretty good though. I mean it's pretty good. I could squat. I could squat like 600 or something like that, and I was pushing like the full body pull thing they were doing. I was doing like 1,800 pounds, which is a lot. But they were, but I was certainly in the higher percentage, but there were people much stronger than me, right? But
Yeah.
the boy's already up to 220 pounds he can bench. So
Nice.
that's not bad, dude. My daughter,
When I was younger, when I was like I said earlier in my 20s and doing it more, that's about where I was for like normal reps. And then my max out was like 260, 270.
yeah.
But my normal reps was about 220. Uh, if I really would have kept pushing, I probably could have easily got higher.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
I just didn't. I just stopped the real reason I stopped is I met a girl and it just stopped. Like
It's
I was
yeah.
busy with her.
Girls do that. Yeah. You got to keep in mind too. I'm much bigger than you are.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's that's part of it. But anyway, my what I used to be able to do is it's okay. It's not great though. It's not going to turn any heads when you're talking to actual weightlifters, right?
Yeah.
But I was happy with where I was. But my daughter's was a ballerina, and she still has that body. And my wife is a typical athletic lady. She's always doing some kind of sport. So I mean, it's funny to me. They eat a lot, but all of them are in great shape. I'm the only soft body in the house. You know.
I've noticed that Asians typically can eat a lot. I don't know what it is, but they are like black holes for food. They're
Oh my
eaters
God, dude.
as a group.
My wife is it's shocking. The good thing is when we're going out to eat, we tend to go kind of to the middle to higher middle restaurants.
Yeah.
We don't go to the family restaurant type stuff. And of course, we're in Japan too, so portions are smaller anyway. So when we're out in public, it's normal. But here at home, when they're cooking, I mean, it's like it's almost like a monster or something. The amount of food she's just freaking vacuuming. But it is what it is. It's just funny because even her dad recognizes that, right? No, but anyway, but my point being is I'm happy for you, dude. I'm glad you're getting you and your wife are losing weight, and it's good for you. You guys going to have more fun.
Oh yeah.
You'll start thinking different too, because I would go do stuff with my wife, but I mean she's an athletically minded person, right? I used to
Hmm.
do a lot of sports, but I haven't since I left the SCA. I haven't done hardly anything. And but now we'll go out and do water sports, or we'll do things that we weren't doing before, you know. And that's the thing. Once you start losing weight, getting more active, you'll go out and you'll do stuff. Take a mountain bike ride, right? Or get
Right.
a jet ski together, or something. Just little things like this, which are these aren't very hard to do, but it's just you don't think about it when you're kind of in that plodding heavier set body. And I'm not talking about crazy obese. I'm just kind of being that typical American size. So
Yeah.
you guys should, do that. And it's a lot more fun. Life is more fun when you're doing shit, right?
Well, not only that, um, sorry, I just suddenly had to cough. There's just no real excuse other than being lazy to not do it. There's no good reason to not eat properly, or but you don't even have to eat when people say that, I think you got to eat salads. No, you
No,
don't.
you don't.
You can eat literally everything you're eating now, just in better proportions.
Yeah.
Everything. You don't have to give up anything at all. I haven't given up a single food group. In fact, I eat them just about nearly as much, but I eat them in correct serving sizes.
Yeah.
I make sure I don't overeat. The problem isn't really so much what people eat. Some things are, especially people with sweet tooths. That's real. Sugar's real bad. The problem
That's
is
true.
serving sizes, is how much we eat. Because our one big problem, one trick I learned is how huge my bowls were. So if I got like a bowl of pasta, it was actually like 3 or 4 servings.
Yeah.
Well, I just
That's
went and
true.
bought smaller bowls, and that's kind of solved that for me now. And you don't even notice the difference. Like I'm not starving. I'm fine.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and that's something that benefits me living in Japan.
Yeah.
Everything's smaller here, but yeah, no, no. I mean, you don't have to really change your diet that much. Just eat a little less, maybe. Um, if you're exercising, well, that's going to offset it anyway. And don't eat after 9 o'clock, dude. I mean, we were talking about it earlier. I mean, for me, 6 days a week, I don't eat much at all. I mean, let's see, what did I have? I've been up for I don't know, 4 hours here. I've been up 4 hours. And what have I eaten today? I had a bagel. Yeah. I won't eat lunch. I never do, hardly, unless with my wife. So the next thing I'll eat will be sometime in the evening. It'll be some simple thing because my wife has jazzercise tonight, so I'll probably make a sandwich. I mean, that's it. That's what I'll eat
Hmm.
today. But on Saturday or Sunday, depending on what day we go out, what day because I work on Saturdays a lot. We'll go out and we'll go to a nice restaurant, sit down, eat, and of course that you're dropping like 3-4 thousand calories right there at a nice
Yeah.
restaurant, right? So that's the way, and it works just fine. Just don't eat after 9. It kind of reduce your calories. You don't have to go crazy about it. Initially, you do, like I did, and like Thunder Arrows. If you're heavy, you need to kind of drop that weight down. But when you get into
Yeah.
that diet phase, you just be reasonable, dude. And if you go out like 30 minutes a day, you are going to improve yourself quite a bit. And
Yeah.
I know we have people in the chat that kind of cover the gambit. We've had this conversation before. Some of you guys are in good shape. Some of you guys are, making sure you go to the gym, just like Cult Video says. And some of you are heavy set, like we were. And that's fine, but you can be whatever you want to be. But I'm telling you, if you do lose the weight and you do a little bit of movement every day, even if it's just walking, you'll find you'll have a lot more energy and you can go out and enjoy things in life a lot more. I mean, it's fun to go and do, especially like water sports. I love doing water sports. Whether it be, I like jet skiing a lot. I like sailing. These kind of things. As a heavier person, you don't even think to do it, right? But if you're kind of
Yeah.
in that active mode, you'll go do those things, and they're fun. I mean, you could pick up a cheap jet ski for like $500, dude. I
Yeah.
mean, they're cheap, man, and it's one of those things that just works. You don't need like these super amazing top end Yamahas. You don't need that crap. You're just going to have a little bit of fun. You don't want to kill yourself. I mean, at the end of the day. But anyway, let's go on. We're going to get to the news, but I think it's great that you're doing that, and I hope all of you guys are being a little more healthy. I'm not sitting here saying you have to be some kind of rock body. I'm just saying, feel better, right?
What rule number one when it comes to this that I've learned and that I believe is accurate is don't be so hard on yourself. Uh, Even
Yeah,
if
that's a
you're
good
trying to
point.
lose weight, but some people here's what people do is they go into these crazy crash diets, right? So they're eating 3,000 calories a day, and they cut down to 1,800 or some ridiculous thing, and they're starving all the time. Well, of course you are. You just cut out 1,200 calories. That's a lot. So don't be so hard on yourself. All you got to do is if you want to lose roughly a pound a week, which is perfectly healthy amount to lose, just cut 500 calories out a day. That for most Americans is a couple sodas. Stop drinking pop. You don't have to stop
Yeah,
entirely. But there's so many options for zero sugar pop. Just buy that instead. There's no calories in it, and that'll help you so much. Especially since whether we like to admit it or not, most of us are addicted to caffeine,
oh,
and a
I
lot of
am.
us get our caffeine from that. So just don't worry about it. Just keep drinking it. It's fine, and then slowly wean yourself to other things, or just keep drinking diet pop. It's really not the end of the world, especially if the rest of your diet is healthier.
Yeah,
Um, it's just my point is take it slow. Don't try and do it all at once. Don't try and do it cold turkey. Some people have that willpower. I'm not one of
yeah,
them. That's hard work. That's real hard, especially with certain things like me. For me, it's pasta. I'm a pasta addict. So just don't do that. Don't take it real slow. Get it. There's all kinds of apps you can get in calorie trackers and food diaries and everything. And you just put what you ate in for the day, and it'll tell you how many calories you ate, and then just
yep.
adjust.
There you
And if
go.
you go over, it's not a big deal. If you go over for a week, not a big deal. Get back on the horse.
Yeah.
Just don't be
You,
so hard on yourself.
you know the funny thing with that is, I mean, of course, you shouldn't eat as much junk food. I mean, clearly, right? Especially as you get older. But you know what? If in the end, you know
Yeah,
what was causing my sugar problem? Because I don't have a sweet tooth. I don't eat tons of
neither.
sweet. I really don't like candy. But you know what was causing my sugar problem? Peanuts.
Yep.
And I would eat them by the bag. By the way, right? And I love peanuts. It's my favorite thing. But peanuts is what was causing my problem. We found we process elimination. We figured out what was causing my spikes. It's peanuts. So I hardly eat peanuts at all anymore. But so don't think it's just candy bars. It can be anything. And the reason why I probably got that spike is because I was eating way too many peanuts, and I was
Yep.
just overloading my body with it, and that's what happened. So. But and anyway, let's get into this. Although I do agree very much, cult film video, no fatties in Chester State. We have wars to fight, gents. Yes, we do. Damn
That's
right
right.
we do. All
And
right.
I think that I've been pretty open about that. I think we're heading for some really tough times in the next decade.
Oh yeah,
You don't want to be fat in that situation.
that's fair. That is fair. Sad, but fair. And I'm starting out with non-comic book news today. I just can't not talk about it. So here we go. It's just not no way. Oh my goodness, Afghanistan. Now you guys know I'm a history guy, and it's my thing. I try not to talk about it over here very much because 90% of you scream and yell every time I mention history. So okay, fine. even though it is my frickin' profession. But nevertheless, um, Afghanistan is, let's sum it up, it's not a country at all. Never has been. It's a crossing area of all kind of little chiefs and warlords and all kind of stuff like that. It's never been conquered because it's unconquerable. There's no one to talk to. You can't go and say, "Hey, you're a powerful guy. Let's make put you in charge," like the Americans tried to do. Excuse me, everybody tried to do. Doesn't work like that because none of them are particularly powerful, right? And the funny thing is, what has stuck the most in Afghanistan over the centuries of idiot empires going in there and trying to control the area is America training the Taliban. Because keep this in mind, don't forget this for a half a damn second, that the Taliban is a creation of the American CIA. Don't misunderstand it, right? The Mujahideen, the Taliban, those things are directly connected because the Taliban are the Mujahideen, all right? Don't mistake it. And so that's out of all these empires and all this stuff going in there trying to control Afghanistan and make it into something, which it'll never be. It's the Americans that had the most success, but they had it when they were trying to cause trouble for the Russians. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? However, of course, you guys have all seen the news, and it's a wonderful day in their neighborhood. The Taliban came back instantly. Instantly, the entire Afghanistan government fled to the hills. Do keep in mind, a lot of people, those pictures you're seeing at the airports, those are not Taliban. Those are people running from the Taliban. And understand, over the past 72 hours, thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people have died. Understand that. That's something the news isn't talking about. Now, I'm not going to get into dumbasses like CNN and MSNBC sitting there saying the Taliban coming back is a good thing. These fucking morons, right? We're not going to talk about that because it's anybody who's got a brain understands that's idiocy. But understand, thousands of people are dead right now because of the way we did that. Now, a lot of people are bringing up questions, and they're good questions, and I want to talk about it a little bit here with you guys. See if you have an opinion, and see if Thundera here has an opinion. But a lot of people saying, well, we've been in Europe for 80 years, and we still have thousands of troops there. We've been in South Korea since the war, and we got what 25,000 troops over there. What the hell is the problem of leaving, 2, 3,000 troops in Afghanistan? Why do we have to leave anyway? I mean, we do these long-term stay, assisting stays, right? Because it really, when it comes, and the reason why that number is so low, because what's the real thing people need from America? Not as soldiers on the ground. We do have good soldiers. I mean, still, the American Marine, just a straight up Marine, is equal to 10 of the best of any other country. Right, so our ground military is good, but the reason why they want us there and they need us there is because of our air power. There's no one touch us in the air, nobody, right? And that's really the power of America. So a lot of people are saying, why didn't we just leave our detachment there and just kind of stay like we do everywhere else? And what's the problem? And my answer to that is, I think the problem is that no one gives a shit. No one cares about the Middle East. I mean,
Correct.
honestly, if it burns, do you care? No, we don't
If
care.
if China glassed it tomorrow, I don't think anyone would care.
No, no one would. Whereas North Korea and Japan are incredibly strategic for us to be there. Europe, of course, we need to be there. The Middle East is just not a place people care about. Now, you could say that's horrible, and maybe you're right. But the people, no one's ever cared about the Middle East, dude, since frickin' Roman times, right?
Correct.
So
It was literally just the way station, basically, right? It was just where the real empires had to go through to get business done. That was
yeah,
all it was. China had to go through it. The Romans had to go through it. Then the West as a bloc had to go through it.
hmm
And China still had to go through it. And India, as they came up,
yeah,
are having to deal with it.
yep,
But by and large, that's all it was. It was a stop. Yeah, some of them got really, really wealthy because of that. Some along the roads, along the highways, and then obviously the oil boom and surge.
that's right.
But the real reason they're even wealthy from oil is because we have people in this country who are complete morons. When you had Trump who opened the spigots and let people go and find the oil in America, we were energy independent, and I think we became the world's #1 exporter of oil again, as we should be. So the only reason the Middle East has any wealth like that is because they've been propped up because of incompetence over here. There's more oil in America right now than all of the Middle East
Oh
combined,
yeah,
and yet we don't. We're not exporting it like we should be.
Yeah.
Um, so the Middle East is largely irrelevant on the world stage, except for the fact that Israel's there and they have a lot of influence politically. Whether you think that's good or not, they do. It's just reality, and that makes it far more important. OPEC, all that stuff could be wiped away by a union between Mexico, America, Canada, and Russia, like that. Like that. We have that. Those four countries have enough oil they could control the entire world market. America does control the entire world market with the reserve currency,
They do. Yeah,
and
they
we
do.
wouldn't need to worry about the Middle East at all.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just the truth.
Yeah,
And
it is.
Trump was kind of moving us towards that. He kept trying to get trade relations opened up with Russia and get Russia into the
Mhm.
G20 and all these other things, and the rest of the world just didn't want anything to do with it because of, they don't like Putin basically. And there was a lot of things that could be done and should be done, I think, to shift the balance of power. Afghanistan and all of Arabia, by and large, is not anywhere we need to be. It's
Yeah.
not anywhere we need to deal with. If China wants to march themselves in there, have
Let them
fun.
have fun.
Yep.
And the Chinese might have some success because Western powers always try to create cooperation. Even the Russians, right? British Empire as well. They try to create cooperation, and they try to solve things in civil manners. The Chinese might just kill everybody. It could work.
Yep.
You know, but and I know some of you were saying, but Chester, the Ottoman Empire was quite powerful. Yes, the Ottoman Caliphate was incredibly powerful, but that's a European power, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
not a Middle
And
Eastern one.
and the only time they were extremely extremely powerful is when they controlled basically the Mediterranean. Besides the southern Europe part,
Yeah,
they controlled all of the Mediterranean. As that got chipped away, they basically just became a regional power, and
yeah.
then the World War happened and ended them. It was
That's
that
true.
easy.
Yeah, that is true. Anyway, I'm not going to sit here and get into it too much, but I just no way we couldn't mention this, right?
I
Roger.
think it's the only good thing Biden's done so far. And Trump was going to do it. He would have done it sooner and done it probably properly. But
He
I
would have
would
done it
rather it
better.
be a debacle and we're out of there and it's over than it not be a debacle and we stay.
Well,
Because we had no business going in. For the reason that we went in was obviously either a lie or the mission should have changed because the guy we were there to get wasn't even there. He was in Pakistan.
yeah, that's true.
Allegedly.
Um,
I think he
uh,
was dead. I think he died a long time ago, but
That's
regardless.
possible. Yeah. Biden, Obama needed a press junket.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, if they had followed Trump's plan, it wouldn't have been this disaster that it is. That because they
Yep.
would have pulled all the material out like you're supposed to. So the Biden administration definitely screwed up in that way. But either way you look at it, it's Democrats have lost face here, and that's a good thing. We need them to
I
conquest.
would give it a solid D plus because it's overall it's a plus. We shouldn't be in Afghanistan. It's the graveyard of empires. Get
It
the
is
hell out. We should have never went in. But the way they did it was so
stupid.
stupid and just cost lives needlessly
Yeah.
because they're incompetent. Is the
They
only
are.
real
That
reason.
there's the important thing. These people who act like they're literal little Caesars, they're incompetent. They're incredibly incompetent. However, Roger does make an interesting comment, and these days you can never say no to this. I've been hearing that this is just a false flag, and they're using this to start the Great Reset and destroy the central bank and destroy the economy of the U.S. It could be. Sure, why not? But the thing with that is, Roger, if you haven't been paying attention, these liberals, excuse me, I should use the word properly, progressives, they have got to the point that they don't care if you see their skirt anymore. They're out in the open. They don't care. They're taking people's rights. They're. I mean, think of how many things this administration has done in what 7 months that they've literally been unconstitutional moves and decisions. Literally unconstitutional. I mean, people should be going to jail for what they're doing, right? But they
Yeah.
don't care. They don't care. And they've got to the point that even a CDC boss can say, "Nope, you can't kick people out of your rental. You can't." What? CDC has no authority whatsoever. But oh no, they do now. And this is what's happening. So I mean, it could be another type of false flag. Sure. But who knows, right, with these people? But I don't think they need to hide anymore. I don't think they feel like they do. However, what I would say is in the coming weeks, if you do see some big event happen, I guarantee you that's a red flag. I guarantee it. Yeah,
Yep.
because this is hurting them. This is really making them look bad. Guaranteed, a false flag is on the way. I guarantee it. Right. So in the next week or two, some amazing, horrible thing coming out of a Trumper, I am sure, is going to be all over the news for like 3 days, and then and then no one will talk about it again. Of course.
One
Anyway,
thing we all should remember is that the American military, not so much the military men, but the brass, has not won a war since World War II.
nope, not
Didn't
really.
win in Korea, didn't win in Vietnam, didn't, I mean, if you want to call Grenada a war, we didn't win there really either. Didn't win in Desert Storm because we went back 10 years later. Didn't really win there either because we were there for too long. And then, we had factions in our government funding terrorists who then became a massive caliphate and swept through a huge chunk of the Middle East.
Right.
And Afghanistan, 20 years, trillions of dollars spent, thousands of American lives ended and ruined, and untold number of Afghanistanian lives, Afghanis, whatever they're called, numbers of lives ruined and ended. And what did we get for it in the end? Nothing.
Nothing.
Never let anybody tell you that the American military is unbeatable. That's
Well,
ridiculous.
the thing is, though, do keep this in mind. We never had any intentions of winning any of those things you just mentioned. We weren't there to win them. That wasn't the point. A lot of this stuff, 20 years in Afghanistan. Why? Because warmongers are making money. That's really what it is, guys. And don't kid yourself. I heard someone coughing. Is Eric coming? No, nobody. Okay.
That was my wife.
Oh, okay. She sounds like Eric. That's not good. Okay. Anyway, let's move on here. I do have one last little picture to show you though, and it's boy, my, my.
It is funny to me that people think, people say, oh, they're going to come for the Americans' guns and da 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 da. All right, they're going to get, and if they do, they'll get most of them. That's just the truth. They'll get most people to comply. But there's groups of people in this country who've never been conquered and are
That's true.
unconquerable, just like the Taliban were, just like the Afghanistan is, because where they live is just it. It's impossible to invade. It's impossible to do large scale conflict. So I just remember these images when people tell you that the American military is not beatable because a bunch of dudes in turbans in caves just beat them. We can make all the excuses we want, but that's the facts of history. They lost.
Well, once again, I disagree with you on that. I don't think we were ever intended to win, dude. It's not a. That's not the intention. I get your
No, they
point, but it's
lost.
not.
They
Okay,
lost.
if you look at
America
it that
lost
way.
again
All righty. Anyway, let's get
to
into
a bunch
today's
of dudes
comics.
with rifles living in caves. Rumors: Superboy solo film in development at DC Films.
Now, this right here is talking about Connor Kent. The article thinks. Now, they don't really know. This could be talking about young Superman. Don't think so. This could be talking about Clark and Lois's son. Don't think so. I think this is Connor Kent, and it should be. If they're going to tell any Superboy story, it must be Connor Kent's story because it's a great one. If you guys don't know who Connor Kent is, do you know who Connor Kent is?
I know of him.
Okay. Now Connor Kent is this is not Connor, by the way. And they don't have a guy. Should have picked up. Here we go. There's a good. This is a good rendition of him here in the animated series. But Connor is a very interesting character, very dynamic. You can make a great story with this, a great movie, or even a TV series. I think a movie would be better though. But basically, the situation is Lex Luthor got a hold of Superman's DNA and he cloned him, right? I think there was some iteration where it suggested that he also mixed some of his DNA in there as well. So it might, I think there might be a little Lex in there as well. But basically, this is a clone of Superman. He was being kept in a facility and getting freed by the Teen Titans, I think. And which he ended up being on there. I think well, I think it really originally was Teen Titans, but he did end up being on their roster. And he had a lot of angst and anger he had to work out. He had a lot of anger towards Superman because of what he was. Superman was a little bit awkward, not knowing exactly how to deal with it. In the end, Superman understood he needed to treat him like a son, even though he's not. But he did do that, and things kind of worked out. But so what you have here is the possibility for a very dramatic story, right? That has some good action in it too. And so, me personally, I love this rendition they did here in Young Justice. I thought it was great. But I think this could be a spectacular live action movie if it's done correctly. If they just tell the damn story of Connor Kent. I would be excited as hell if they were just making a just straight up Connor Kent story. It would be neat. What do you think on that?
It could be interesting. I just think I don't care, to be honest. I want a proper Superman film, and they refuse to give me one. So
Yeah, no, that's true. Rob says that a young Superman would be great to delve into. Yeah, no, I understand that. But we did have Smallville, and I think that showed us Superboy pretty well. I mean, you can always tell a story again, of course. But I personally would much rather see the Connor Kent story because young Superman is just him figuring out how to be Superman. Okay, that's interesting. You can do stuff with that. But the Connor Kent story would be new to the general population. They don't wouldn't understand what he is, and it makes sense. It's intriguing. I think using him a little bit before he gets saved, as it is, would be better than the way they did in the comic. I think, but I just personally feel that there could be a great, great, great movie in there, if only we could have a good script written and there's no politic. If they could just get in there and just make a fun, interesting movie, I think this could actually be a drama that has a little action in it, and I think it could be amazing. Because there's so much going on here. This kid, I mean, he's so confused and messed up, and what am I? I'm not real. I mean, there's so much emotion that could be put into this story, and that's one of the things that lacks with Superman a lot, because Superman is confident. He knows exactly what he is and what he's supposed to do, and that's why he so easily always does the right thing, because he has no question in his mind of to who he is. So there's not a lot of emotion you can really pile into Superman. You have to pile it into the people around him. However, this character here, he can carry a lot of that emotion in a Superman body. You know what I mean? That's my take
yes,
on it anyway. So I saw this, and I was like, oh man, please don't screw it up. This is the first thing that came to my head. Please
they're
don't
gonna.
screw it
They're
up.
gonna. They can't even do Superman right. You think they can do somebody with more nuance?
That's fair enough. And the chat is already saying they'll turn him into whatever this weird sexuality they can come up with on Friday. But it's probably true. But I don't know, because I didn't really think of it before. It's one of those things you see and you're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And because I never thought about it before, but I think it could be a great movie, and I really hope that someone gets a clue and starts putting out just movies again. You know, because I
Yep.
don't know about you guys, and I'm curious what Thundera has to say about it, but I love the cinema. I've been watching cinema my whole life, right? And I think all of us have. I mean, some people don't, but my wife, she's born and raised in Japan, watching cinema her whole life, right? And it's a fun hobby. It's something that you can chat trivia about, and it's a lot of fun. And I've got to the point now that I don't know, man. I've almost just lost hope. I mean,
That's the goal. They're trying to demoralize you. That's why architecture all over the West looks like shit. Looks like boxes with other boxes and then glass and steel. There's no design, there's no charm, there's no passion in it, there's no artistry, there's no beauty. It's postmodernism, it's brutalism, and it's in everything. They do it in everything. That's why they don't They won't give you a hopeful version of Superman. They won't give you a hopeful story. They won't give you a beautiful story because they don't want you to have hope. They want you demoralized. Demoralized people are easy to control.
It's fair. It's fair. But whatever. I just saw it and I was like, there's potentially something really cool there. Yep. Anyway, let's move on. Yeah, that's right, Alan. Superboy starring Zendaya. Yeah, God, goodness gracious. We're going to get into that. By the way, give me time. Don't jump the shark there on me. Okay, here we go. Speaking of movie remakes and characters,
Red Hood movie rumored Tanner Buchanan eyed for Jason Todd.
now Jason Todd is a very interesting Robin. I think. You're correct in your statement that Nightwing should have already had a movie. I agree. He's a great character, but he's the more modern, gritty Batman, is what he is, in a way, right? He's a more modern thinking version of Batman who is very stoic and unchangeable, right? Um, Jason Todd, on the other hand, is a very dynamic character. Has a very interesting situation. Literally killed by the Joker, literally murdered, brought back, and becoming something different. He's much darker. He's much more dangerous. And there is some very you could make a very dark, twisted, almost Joker-esque. I'm talking about the Joker with the Phoenix in it. You can make a much more dark, interesting movie like that with this character that you could never do with Nightwing or Batman, right? I think it could be really cool. They're definitely making it because they're already starting to do casting here. And I did bring up the casting kid that they have in this mind. This what's his name again? Tanner Buchanan. What a name! Now, what do you think Tanner Buchanan looks like? I know you have this little picture right here, but this isn't telling you really what he looks like. But what kind of person is a Tanner Buchanan?
Hang on one second. Her movie just got insanely loud.
That's okay. Well, a Tanner Buchanan to me is either an elite rich boy or the ultra jockey guy, right? It's one or the other. And it's interesting to me when you take a look at the kid. I'm going to show you here in a second. That's all they had. But I just because I thought making Red Hood would be a cool idea for the cinema. It'd be a good idea. But here's what this kid looks like. You ready?
Oh, I
Oof.
know what he looks like.
Oh my goodness.
He's a manlet. He's only about 5'4".
Yeah, he's a little teeny thing. He's in shape though. Good for that. But
He's
boy,
the kid
is
from Cobra Kai, Chester. He's Robbie.
I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
He's
Um,
what the hell, Johnny's son.
I didn't watch Cobra Kai.
You should watch Cobra Kai. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Screw YouTube, dude. All right.
You don't have to
Uh,
watch it on YouTube.
uh,
Chester, Chester, you come from a people who are famous for pirating. Pirate that shit.
Fair enough. That's true. We are pirates. That's right. He's Johnny's son from Cobra Kai. All right. I'm glad you guys know who he is. He got a great name though, Tanner Buchanan. That's a good name. Anyway, he's. I don't like this picture at all. Feels very metrosexual to me. And if you look at all
There you
those
go.
other
That one's
pictures,
way
he's
better.
ultra metrosexual, more metrosexual. My God, I have thoughts and I'm artistic. Uh, Jesus Christ, this kid, dude. Whatever. Nevertheless, he is a bit small, in my opinion, to be playing it, but he's in shape. Maybe, maybe. Now you saw him in the Cobra Kai. Can the kid act at all?
No,
Oh, well, there's a problem.
him, and the daughter of Danny LaRusso are the two worst actors in the show. They're terrible.
Oh, that's too bad. That's too bad. Yeah, yeah, unfortunately. My wife watched Cobra Kai actually. If I'm thinking about it, I don't know where she found it. Must have been on Netflix here in Japan. But she was watching Cobra Kai, I think.
No,
I
Cobra Kai is genuinely really, really good. Genuinely one of the best series based off of freaking Karate Kid of all things. That it's very, very, very good. It's well told. It's decent enough action for a family show. and it's really good. I
Yeah,
really enjoy it. I recommend it. But he and the other actress that I'm talking about, they're the low spots of a really
yeah.
good show.
No, no, fair enough. Alan says he'd be a good Tim Drake. I think it would be a better Tim Drake, especially the new modern Tim Drake we have, which I'll get to in a minute. But I think it would be great for that Tim Drake. Anyway,
And my answer is the same as it was to the last one. No, not interested. I want a freaking Nightwing movie.
yeah, no, no, I get you. And I would like a Nightwing as well. I think let's get out of this cycle of constantly making Batman and let's make a Nightwing. It's a little different, and I think we should do it. I agree. I'm just saying that you could make a very dark, harsh, R-rated Red Hood movie. You could. Very different from Batman. It's not Batman at all, right? I mean, he's a gun-toting murderer. It really is. I'm just saying
Yeah.
you can make an interesting movie. Is all I'm saying. Let's see. Stupid says it's a great name you got there. I had higher hopes for Brightburn dealing with an evil Superboy and either the nature or nurture angle of an emotionally absent father and overly indulgent mother. We all did, dude. We all saw that trailer and we were like, oh, Brightburn could be interesting. Now, I and Thundaro and many of us, we don't like this constant desire to make Superman evil. Fair enough. But if you are going to do an Elseworld story, the Brightburn could have been something really cool. It wasn't handled properly. It's not particular. It's not woke. It's none of that nonsense. It just wasn't handled properly. It wasn't done correctly, and it's one of those things that any of us were sitting there watching. Is like, oh, if you change this, this, and this, it would have been great. I mean, it just wasn't handled properly. It was handled by incompetent people, unfortunately, because that could have been a very interesting little Elseworld story. And it left it where they could continue it as well. They could do like a dark turn universe with that story. But yeah, it was unfortunate. I agree. He's good for Ladybug too. Oh my God, Alan. Jesus, Alan. Alrighty. Now, I want to kind of. I wish Eric was here. I kind of had this up here for him and Booster a little bit, but that's okay. What I want to talk about. This isn't the greatest art, but this right here is what most of us would recognize as when you say X Men, right? Iceman's not in there. He should be. Beast is not there. He should be, especially seeing as those are those with Angel and of course Jean are the original X Men. But most
Yeah.
people know the Claremont reboot that he did in the late '80s, and of course, absolutely fantastic. Saved Marvel Comics, by the way. And of course, you all recognize these characters. I love the fact that Colossus' head is cut off. That's perfect. And we know that X Men has become like the sore point because it is where they decided to dump all of their wokeness. They dumped a lot of it. Now we've seen it all peppered all across Marvel and DC to a point, but X Men is really where it landed, right, in full force. However, the X Men are a very important Marvel lineup. Disney seems completely uninterested in telling any X Men story, even though they own it now, right? Because if you look at what's coming up and the stuff they have planned for, there's no X Men thing in there at all. Nothing. And we haven't
Yep.
even had any hints at the X Men. Not even a hint, right?
So uncreative, they had a chance to set it up with, which I guess they still could, but I don't think they are. They had a chance to set up a reverse House of M, which would have been awesome, and they didn't do it.
Yeah, no, no. And the reason why is because Scarlet Witch is not a mutant in their storyline, right? She's not a
Yeah.
mutant. And eventually they might get to it, but the thing is, I think they're going to burn the house down before they get to it. I really do. Because they're just making so many stupid maneuvers and they're doing so many stupid things. And now that you have this full-on war between Chapek and the so-called bosses, it's not going to get any better, right? Things are just going to get all stagnant and ugly and crap. But whatever. Uh, X Men are important, is my point. If you're a Marvel comic book fan, and I thought we'd talk a little bit about the X Men. Now, here's a take a look at just kind of a field of many X-Men. They got them all kind of listed here, and the various people that have been involved. It's not the most organized thing. There is something here that kind of gets into it a little bit better. Um, of course, you see on the top here, we got Professor X, Nightcrawler, Cyclops, Wolverine, Iceman, Banshee, Beast, Storm, Archangel, etc., all the way down. And looking at this list of X-Men over the years, which one of these in here did you like the best? Thunder,
Wolverine. I think
Wolverine.
that's most people's answer. Wolverine and Nightcrawler, um, and Storm, of course. But yeah, I'd say Wolverine's the most popular one to the point where they continuously play all kinds of fucking games with him,
Hmm.
making him he's Logan now because they can't get rid of him because he's too damn popular. So
Right.
they keep having to find ways of bringing him back. Uh, but no, I'd say it's Wolverine. I mean, especially with the '90s, he was the perfect character to when they were at their peak in the early '90s as X-Men. He was the perfect character for the '90s, edgy and violent. And yeah, for me, it's Wolverine. A lot of the X-Men are garbage. Like they're just bad characters, and I think everybody kind of knows that. But because the characters that are awesome are so awesome, people ignore it. So like Professor X is a pretty good character. Obviously, Nightcrawler I think is one of the best characters ever created in Marvel.
He's well written. That is
He's
true.
very well written, and Wolverine is just your perfect, hard edged, fucking roughneck hero,
Yeah.
right? He's basically like a samurai movie guy mixed with a cowboy, and they just
Canadian of
nail
all
that.
things.
And he's Canadian, and they just nailed that archetype, right, of the real tough guy, but he's got a heart of gold type deal with that character, and I think that's why he's resonated with so many people, especially in America.
Yeah.
That's a very American trope, and he's a
Yeah.
Canadian.
And he's Canadian, yeah. But of course, Wolverine's a great character. He probably is, the most popular X-Men, I'm sure. However, my answer to the question is different. Colossus has always been my favorite. I love Colossus. When they killed him off, where he saved the mutant world, basically, and he died, I think I really wish they just left him dead. I mean, I really do. I love the character, but what a great story arc he had from Claremont's creation up until when he died during the mutant virus. That spoilers, but I love Colossus. But there are some other really cool characters that don't get talked about. One of those you see right here is Sunfire, Japanese hero. And I know they had made some other Japanese heroes later, but Sunfire has been around a long time. He's an interesting character, and there are a few other interesting ones here. And this is nowhere near the exhaustive list of mutants, of course. But I just thought it was an interesting little page. However, what I want to talk about today in regards to the X Men is this: who do you think is the most underrated X Men? X-Man, I guess. And they got some suggestions here, but you don't have to use these. But just looking at the suggestions they have, Marrow, I know of the character from the animated series, and I think I do remember she was like a Morlock, I think. Lifeguard is dumb. Okay, I said it.
Yep.
Cipher, interesting. Hellion, once again, why? Nocturne, I don't even know. Jubilee, of course, kind of an interesting character that was not used well.
Well,
Madrox,
Jubilee's main problem is her power is stupid.
it is.
She's a sparkler.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Megan, however, is quite powerful, and she's better known from the Excalibur series, which was done really well. Cannonball, always kind of a goofy, silly character. However, during the Civil War storyline, he became quite interesting, right?
Hmm.
So Cannonball may be a candidate, and of course Polaris, which is you want to talk about power, okay, fine, but not a very important or interesting
I
character in
would
my opinion.
say you have to break it into two categories. Most underrated by the fans, that's a tough one. Most underrated by Marvel, Storm. They just hate her. I don't know why. They don't like that character. They
It
don't want
is
her to be
weird.
awesome. Uh, and everybody loves her. I've never met a fan who's like, the Storm sucks. I've met someone like, she's not my favorite, but everybody's cool with her being like a front, even the complete face of the whole book of the X-Men book. She was for a while, and everybody loved it. And that would be in from Marvel's perspective. From my perspective, of Marvel's perspective, Storm is the one they underrate the most because they could do so much more with her. She ticks every single box they could possibly want, and yet she gets married to Black Panther. What? What?
Yeah,
Nobody asked for that.
yeah, because they're black.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot
Yeah,
that's
you
how the
forgot
world
that.
works.
It's a black thing, yeah. But okay. Fair. Storm is an interesting choice, particularly when you talk about the MCU, the actual cinematic universe. That is true. I think my choice isn't on this list here. I think Cannonball, on as far as this list go, Cannonball is probably the most interesting, mainly because of Civil War. Because he was kind of a dumb character before that, but they did something with making him penance. It was a clever idea. It was. However, my choice is Longshot. Longshot, I think, is incredibly underrated character. He's actually far more powerful because he controls probability, right?
Yeah,
And he's actually incredibly powerful. But he's never really
that's
used
probably
properly.
why. That's why is because he's too powerful. And they
Yeah,
gave him this absurd power that is just basically unbeatable. Uh, if you think about it logically, if you can control probability, that means you can control outcome
yeah,
with enough pressure in the right spot. How do you beat that?
yeah. But
Right? If you're being honest about writing that, there's no unless you do some shenanigans, there's no way to overcome that really. It's kind of like Professor X. They always have to come up with ways of limiting him because his power is obscene. What he can do, he can just control people's minds. He
yeah.
wins. He just wins automatically.
True. But if they put Longshot in the MCU, they could just simply make him lucky,
Yeah, but
right?
like they did with Domino in
Yeah.
the second movie,
Oh
second
well,
Deadpool movie.
that was complete wasted character right there. I mean, Jesus, you got Domino, and you're going to do basically nothing with her, and then you race swap her on top of it for no damn reason, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that was stupid, dude. But then again, the second Deadpool movie was a fraction of the fun of the first one. I mean, I'm not going to say it was a horrible, terrible movie because it wasn't. It was watchable, but the first movie was fun, right? And they certainly lost a step with that second movie. The third one's coming out soon, so we'll see.
and
But
we got to see Juggernaut for real.
and we did. We That was cool. I mean, there were some cool
Yeah,
things in it. I just think they dropped the ball compared to the first movie, and all they really need to do is just make it more lighthearted and fun. They I don't know how they screwed it up, but they did. But nevertheless, I like the Storm and Wolverine romance. Alan said, "Yeah, that was a pretty good one. Made a lot more sense too, didn't it?" Um,
it does. It makes the
yeah.
most sense out of all the pairings that they did, especially of that roster. They're characters who I think would be attracted to each other, and they were
Mm.
attracted to each other.
Yeah, and what did they do in the first movie, X-Men movie they came out? They made him attracted to or somehow connected to a non-sexual rogue. Is what? Huh? I guess
You
she
want to
was
talk about underrated? Holy crap! They
rogue,
haven't they
yeah.
haven't used Rogue right since probably the '90s. Actually, that's probably the last time they did anything meaningful with her.
Yeah, it was really weird that little frumpy girl they picked to play rogue. I was like, "What? Are you kidding me?" The most sensual and sexy character in Marvel comic books. You're going to pick
Yeah,
this little frumpy girl that's just whining the entire fucking movie. Unbelievable. Other than that, forgettable. There are some interesting characters in this list. I really don't know who Nocturne is, although it looks like it's somehow connected to Night. Damn it, Kurt. Um, but I would say Cannonball is certainly had an interesting turn, and Megan or Megan, depending on how you want to spell it. I think it's Megan. Um, I liked her in the Excalibur series. I bought that when it first came out. It was a new thing. I bought every issue of it, and I enjoyed reading it. It was different. It was quirky. I was much younger. If I went back and reread, maybe I wouldn't enjoy it as much. But I did like the Megan character. Oh my God, men actually like female characters than Daryl. How dare we?
Oh no,
Oh no,
monsters.
monsters. And you know the thing is, we keep people hearing, not just us, like everybody who talks about comic books, even the guys who are on that show, the Soy Shill train, keep talking about where's Storm. Everybody keeps
Yeah.
saying it. Where's Storm?
Wh-
What do you do?
Why is she not getting any
She
shine like she
is
deserves?
exactly what they want. A strong, powerful black female. I mean, are you kidding me, dude?
And she's one that people already like.
We
So they
love.
don't have to worry about, well, people don't like when we do, blah 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 with characters. They don't like it when we swap it. Don't have to worry about that. People love Storm. She's in there. You
Yeah,
got it.
she
She's
was
she's right
actually.
there. Give her a good story. That's all you got to
She,
do. Just put her in a good story. It doesn't even have to necessarily be with the X-Men. Make it a before the X-Men. I don't care. Give her a good story. Let her be Storm. Let her come off as that powerful, feminine force that she is. Don't turn her into a man like they would probably do. Don't do that. Let her be a woman. It's okay. It's okay to be a woman and be powerful. That can exist. That
yeah,
exists in the
yeah.
world.
Normally, yeah. No, and the thing is, you got to think about this too. Storm not only was a team leader of X Men, she was probably the best team leader they've ever had. Right? I understand that Charles
Yeah.
Xavier is the boss overall, but she was a really good team leader in the comic, written that way. Right? Because Cyclops is the leader, and he always has been, sure, but I've read hundreds of X-Men comics in my life, dude. I've seen all the animation, I've seen everything. I've never liked a Cyclops.
Nobody
Never.
does, I don't think. I think
Yeah.
people pretend that they do to be contrarian, but he's pretty much insufferable and always
Thor.
always has been. Always has been.
Anyway, let's see. Rob says, Rob Muerto, the dead Rob. Oh, I always thought Mutant was a cop out for a creator's perspective. Well,
It literally is.
you gotta
Stan
do
Lee
your
even
story.
admitted it.
Yeah.
He said I just got tired of coming up with new ways, so mutant works. That's what he said.
It does work. It's simple. And the thing that came out of that Claremont did that was very clever was, all right, so you have like in DC has the meta humans. That's same thing, make it easy, right? But with the mutants, Claremont was able to put a layer on that was very interesting because they're all of a genetic type. They had, of course, the mutant restraining technology that they could use against their DNA triggers and control them and shut their powers down. That's a very interesting and useful little storytelling tool that was able to be layered on that because of that, as you say, cop out. So I thought they actually turned it quite useful. Alan says an X Men that look normal and have cool powers but hate being mutants is dumb. Fair enough. Of course, most kids would be just absolutely elated to have power. I mean, Jesus. Eric says Storm and all her sexy costumes. Yep. Yeah, she's sexy for damn sure, except for that damn Mohawk period. Um, the best
Oh
example
God,
of
don't even bring it up.
Yeah, sure. The best example of that was in First Class. This is from Rob, with Hank McCoy going, "Humanity will never accept me because of my weird feet." Yeah, I know. Even though that was something that Beast always struggled with. Stupid says once again, great name. Even without her power, she'll shank you. Uh, I don't know who we're talking about. Storm or Rogue. I don't know. Maga Team Joshua says, I like Cyclops in the cartoons at least. Yeah, that's fine. You can. I just never cared for Cyclops. He was never that interesting to me. I mean, you need a leader. Okay, fine. So they made him the leader. Who else are you going to choose? You can't choose Wolverine for goodness sake. He's not definitely not a leader. You can't choose Kitty. I mean, she's just a child. You can't go. You could go with Beast, but he's too analytical and would never make a decision. Nightcrawler probably could be a leader. Um, I don't know. Who do you choose other than Cyclops? Storm, and that's what they did. So there
And
you go.
she was awesome.
And she was good at it. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting little conversation to have since this is a comic book show. Let's talk about freaking comic books. And we shan't never talk about or mention Lifeguard again on this channel. Okay? Okay,
Yeah,
good. All right,
that's
good.
good because
That's
that's
good.
the stupid. Not only is that the stupidest name, she's a terrible character.
Yeah, stupid. All right, now, go ahead, dude.
Underworld creator Kevin Nope signs new publishing deal with Zenescope, announces Rise of the Jinn series.
Grivio. All right.
Sure. Listen,
Uh,
France isn't a real French isn't a real language, and everybody knows it. All right,
okay. All right, idiot.
nonsense.
Now, this guy here, you've actually seen him. He's in the movie, and he's actually was fun character. It's this guy right here. He's the creator of the Underworld series. He's the writer, right? And it was cool that they got him in, and he actually played a fun character. This fella right here. And I personally, I understand it's very hokey. I understand it's very commercialized. You can throw any word you want on the Underworld that you like, but the thing it is it's fun. The Underworld series is fun. The guy created an actual interesting cosmology, that you can play off of quite a bit. It's not too far extreme removed from the standard mythological cosmologies, but it's different enough that it's unique. And of
Chester, now
course,
wait a minute. I was told by reliable people on Twitter
yeah,
that we are in a white supremacist society and that black people just simply cannot get ahead. It's not possible for them to do
that's
so.
true. Yeah,
So
that
you're
is true.
telling me that 20 years ago we were making movies based on writings of black men?
No, he's a white dude that was in a fire.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
I believe now that I believe. See,
yeah.
because we all know, according to the liberals on Twitter, black people are incapable of great success. Just can't be done.
It's ridiculous. But actually, I've seen interviews with this guy. He's really cool. This is a cool dude, and he's fun. He was very excited to be able to be in the movie, which is cool. And like I said, I think he created a very fun universe. It's fun, right? And there's nothing. You don't have to always be serious, amazing, dramatic, changing the world. Oscar bait crap. You don't have to do that. Fun's good, and
Yeah,
this guy made fun, and I like his work, and that's why I'm talking about the story, because I really enjoyed the Underworld. That's
I mean,
literally the definition of a popcorn flick, dude. And he's created something new. He's got a 3-book deal here with Darkstorm Comics, and also he's doing co-publishing along with Zenescope, which we talked about a few weeks ago. And what he's doing is he's talking about the Jinn, which is interesting. We don't see many stories about the Jinn. And this girl here, it's a character, and I'm sure some idiots go to see the headline and say, "Oh, they're making everything black again." No, he's a black dude talking about a black lady. That's cool. That's not a problem. Nevertheless, I think it's very interesting, and I'm going to check it out because hopefully, seeing as Underworld did so well, hopefully this is good, and maybe they'll pick up his stuff again, and we'll get a new series from him because, like I said, loved Underworld. But you found this girl, and she has some genealogy. Anyway, I couldn't. That's a dad joke, I'm pretty sure. But
yeah, it was something. It was
it was
something.
something. And we're just following her. She's dying from cancer. She's only got a few months to live, and something happens. Okay. And she gets pulled into this world of intrigue. And it sounds interesting to me, dude. And
Yeah,
I already trust him. I already trust him. I know he's going to make
yeah.
fun stuff. So uh,
He's got a good brain on his in his skull, in
he
the old skull
does.
cage. He
Yeah,
makes interesting stuff. It's fairly creative. It's pretty much just basic, uh, Eurocentric lore of mythological monsters. But he has interesting twists on it,
he does.
and he created pretty good characters within it. And I like that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Why? Now, you
Well,
don't have to reinvent the wheel, is what I'm
well,
getting
no,
at. You can
and
just take the wheel, put on some new spokes, and guess what? Hey, it's fun to watch the wheel roll. That's all
and
you got to do.
That's true, and it makes sense because he is of a European culture, and he's talking
Yeah.
about European things, so it makes sense. However, now
Yep.
we're going to Middle Eastern culture,
Yeah.
talking about the jinn, and I really think that there's a lot of great storytelling to be done with the jinn and the whole Muslim concept of the jinn.
Yeah.
I should say call it a Middle Eastern concept, but the Muslims have embraced it 100%. They so much that they
Yeah.
wrote it in their book. Anyway, so all right, so we get an interesting character. She's drawn into this world, and
Let's say I
things
don't like
ensue.
the art of her character,
This is better.
and that
This is better.
that's better. Yeah, but that first pick of her character, the art behind it looks great. But
Yeah.
her, she looks just wrong for
Yeah.
some reason.
Weird.
Like
Yeah.
something's off. But this is a lot better.
Well, keep in mind
Apparently,
there's two separate companies doing this these stories, right?
she's going to be murdering these Jin. Um, okay, I'll
Yeah.
watch that. I'll read that. Why not? Let's see it. Let's see her kill some Jin.
Well, it is interesting that they've gone with the Hollywood version of gin being blue skinned,
Yeah.
thingies, because in the description of gin, it is they are made of smokeless fire. That's what a gin
Yes.
is, and whatever that is. But they're certainly not blue. Nevertheless, what that's fine. But I'm just saying that. I I like the idea of us trying to expand beyond just European stories, and get into or the Greek, get past the Greek tradition and get
Yeah.
into telling other stories. The Middle East certainly has some interesting stories to tell. I think India probably does, although I really don't like
Oh,
the aesthetic. More Chinese stories or Japanese stories be interesting. I don't know what you would do with Africa, South America. I never liked that aesthetic either. But nevertheless, I think we should try. You know,
why not? Yeah.
yeah,
Africa would actually be pretty simple. I mean, because
uh,
there's a lot of actual diversity in Africa, and you could do all kinds of stuff depending on where you set it and where you do it at. I mean, you could do a pretty cool like 18th century Ethiopia, or even like pre World War II Ethiopia story. But we never get anything cool like that. It's always the same freaking places in Africa, if they even do anything at all in Africa, or it's Egypt,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's never
Well,
any other cool places because Africa has a lot of very interesting places with interesting
yeah.
history that they could do some cool stuff.
But I'm talking about mythological stories, is what I
Yeah,
meant.
why not?
Yeah, of course you could do a story about Ethiopia. I mean, there's all kind of stories you could tell. I'm talking mythological stuff, and they don't have that many unique things beyond naked people running around a savannah. That's the problem.
They
It's
have
not
some.
as
They have a couple interesting like gods and stuff, but they don't have a long-standing tradition of great stories like the West and the East does. They just don't. It's just
yeah.
reality of it.
Well,
But you
that's
could still do some interesting things. Like you could take historical stuff and add in mythology. We've done it before. We do it all the time in our stories, and do something cool with it. Which is kind of, I have a feeling, kind of what's going to happen here, insofar as they're going to take a modern girl, obviously,
mhm,
and apparently she's some sort of officer of the law. She has a badge on her hip,
and dying.
and yeah, and
Yeah.
she just kills spiritual beings that apparently are jinn in this case.
Yeah, yeah. I just, I'm going to check it out because I want to see what this guy's come up with. I don't know if this could be sold to Hollywood with blue turban wearing gins, but I like the dude and I want to talk about it. The Americas has some pretty horrific stuff. Jeff says, yeah, that's true. I just don't care for the Central and South American aesthetic. That's all. But yeah, there's a lot of great stories you can sell. You see Gibson's Apocalypto? Jesus. Um,
Oh,
yeah, it was rough, dude. Let's see here. Africa has a lot of before the flood potential, maybe.
yep, yep.
Alan says, look up the Orishas. Yeah, okay. Stupid says, is fun your code word for getting to watch Kate Beckinsale in leather corset every now and again? Yes,
Yes,
stupid.
yeah,
You see,
yes,
see how
please.
that name works out.
Even
Thank you.
still,
He's a
today
very
she still looks great.
considerate person.
She still looks great. Yeah, sure,
Oh,
why
dude,
not?
she's a banger, dude.
Yeah,
What are you
yeah,
talking about? That girl all day long, baby. Kate Beckinsale. That is one of the hottest women that's ever been put on film. I mean,
pretty good.
Jesus, dude.
She's she don't suck. Put it that
No.
way. Well, at least not in that way.
Oh, she might. I hope she does for whatever husband she's got. But no. I mean, she's a beautiful woman. So yeah, I don't mind that. But I wasn't even thinking of her. I was just thinking about the
The men,
cosmology that
yeah.
he created. Is what I was thinking about. But yeah, that's another bonus for Underworld for sure. And excuse me. On the other side of it, the boy that she rescues, I've been told by the ladies that he's a sex pot. So,
Yeah.
Underworld's smart. They gave you a beautiful woman and a beautiful man, and then they went and had an action horror movie. I mean, dude, just print the freaking money, right?
Yep.
How it's the simplest thing ever, right? And this dude, he understood it and he created something, and then the people who went and casted it and made it understood it as well. So thank you very much, sir. And I like the dude. I like his stuff. I think you got to go watch an interview with him. His name is Kevin Grivio. Go check out an interview with him. The dude is very cool. He's very down to earth, and the one of the interviews I saw from him, he was so excited to be to get in the movie and play this werewolf. He's a cool dude. He's a cool dude. So I'm happy to go check out what he's doing and support him. And I hope we see more from him in the future. He's getting a little long in the tooth though, but it's all right. So let's continue on. But I'm trying to keep things as positive as possible. Yeah. Okay. But that comes to an end.
Ah. Ah. Disney announces new details about Home Alone reboot, Home Sweet Home Alone. That is a terrible title.
It's terrible.
Absolutely abysmal title. Oh, that's not a good start. That's not a good start, folks.
It's not a good start. Can we do people still send letters? Can we send letters to Disney, please?
Oh God. Oh, hurts.
Please don't do this. Do not reboot Home Alone. It's exactly what it should be. It's timeless. Leave it.
You know why they're doing this? They're doing it to get rid of Trump. See, some places already literally edited Home Alone 2, the scene that Trump's in. They edited it out on streaming services.
The guy they all loved before he ran for president. That guy.
Yeah. So they're going to do this so that they can redo 1 and 2 and get rid of the Trump cameo in search engines and things officially.
Yeah. No.
Right. It'll become the old version it's not the canon version.
Automatically, it's not going to be Kevin. It's going to be Kenesha. You know it, dude. It's going to be a black family. It's going to be a black girl, and she probably has lesbian leanings, even though she's lit 8 or 10 or wherever the hell Kevin McAllister was. This, please don't do this. Because that truly is a timeless movie. We talk about it a few times, and of course, anybody who knows movies talks about this stuff. Making a movie that is timeless will let it have legs, and it truly is. It's not a specific time. It's not a specific thing. It just is truly timeless, and it's great fun family movie. This is insane, and especially Disney touching it, for goodness sake. Hello, Lady Celtic Moon, nice to see you. No, Roger, I agree 100%. Another Hollywood reboot. That's right, Jeff. This is, oh my god, dude. The Wet Bandits will be white. Well, they were in the first movie. Oh god, it's going to be on Disney Plus. It's being made for Disney Plus, not the theater. Okay, that's interesting. It reads, Max Mercer is a mischievous and resourceful young boy. Why has he changed his name? Who has been left behind while his family is in Japan for the holidays. Why are their family going to Japan? So when a married couple attempting to retrieve a priceless heirloom set their sights on the Mercer family house, it is up to Max to protect it from the trespassers, and he will do whatever it takes to keep them out. Okay, well, so our Max is at least a boy, or it doesn't have to be. It could be Maxine, right? Could be. No, seriously. But why did we change the name from Kevin McAllister? Why? What's the point?
I don't know. Like, why? See, this is the other thing that they do that's stupid. Not only is this whole idea dumb, but why take it away from the original lore? Right? Why take it away from the original? Why uncouple it entirely? Why not have this be his son? Right? Why not have it be his nephew or something that this happens to, or just somebody else in the McAllister family? There's other people.
You're right. It could be or daughter. I'm sure is what they prefer.
Yeah. Why? It's just they're dumb. I don't understand how people this incompetent are in charge of these things.
Yeah, it's weird.
They didn't used to be this incompetent. I know they didn't because I lived through it and I saw that they were competent. So I don't know what the shit happened in the last 25 years or so, but nothing but crazy people are running the show. And it's not even like just because of agenda. No, they're just incompetent, period.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
incompetent. All from top to bottom. It's amazing. The
Now
only competent people you can find in Hollywood anymore are the dudes rigging the lights.
that's true. The back behind the scene people are still the same. Now it does say a married couple, which my brain automatically says man and woman. So the sticky bandits now they got to have a female in there. Okay, but that doesn't mean anything these days. Married couple could be completely different thing here. And the other thing, the family is on a trip to Japan. No one goes to Japan. No one holidays in Japan. What are you talking about? I mean,
Uh,
of all
I
places, Japan?
what?
I mean,
It's
seriously,
so dumb.
tell me one person you know in your life, chat, that has ever holidayed in Japan. Tell me. I mean, I'll wait. Kevin Hart will play the father. Yes, he will. Well, he could play Kevin, to be honest with you. He's small enough.
The aside, like again, like I said, aside from it being a terrible idea, period.
Yeah.
The fact that they've then taken this terrible idea and said, let's make it worse.
Yeah.
By one giving him the name Max. Who the fuck's named Max anymore? What kid is named Max? That's just not a that's not come on. How common is the name Max in America right now for children? It's very uncommon for young boys.
Oh.
They give him that name, and then he's not a McAllister.
Yeah.
Why? What is the reason for doing that? You could have done cool stuff. You could have had cameos from the original movie. You could have had the Wet Bandits show up. You could have all kinds of cool stuff could have happened.
Yeah.
And instead, you do the complete wrong thing. It's just like they did with the Ghostbusters, the 2016 one, right? Where they decoupled it entirely from the original.
Okay.
It was its own deal.
Okay.
It's stupid.
I got some information here. Now he is he still a kid? This little fat Jew kid? Yeah, no, he was in that YTD Adolf Hitler movie. Okay, so his little fat Jew boy. All right, I guess that's
Yeah.
fine. Let's see here. Where was I? We got Ellie Kemper. So okay, they didn't race swap or gender swap. Okay. Let's see who this person is. I don't know. He wasn't that bad in that. What was it called? What was that YTD
Oh,
movie? Something Rabbit.
oh,
It
come
wasn't
on.
bad though. I mean, because Taiki is really good at the little indie stuff. He's good at that. Just keep him away from AAA stuff. He can't. He doesn't do that well. But okay, at least she's pretty, dude.
No, she's really good. Actually, I like her a
She's
lot.
slightly Asian too, so maybe she's going to visit family in Japan is the idea. Okay, maybe that makes sense. Looking at the cast here, I'm softening on this dude. I'm not softening. It's stop it. However,
Jojo
um,
Rabbit. That's what it
it's
was.
Jojo
Jojo
Rabbit.
Rabbit.
There it is. It's not as bad as we've come to imagine everything will be. Um,
It's okay. So here's
okay,
the issue, right?
normal dad guy. Yeah, that sounds
This is a problem I'm noticing a lot in all of our circles. You even kind of mentioned this the other day with Booster about the wokes thing. We're all to the point now where if something doesn't appear to be woke, we're like, that's good enough. And that's not good enough.
yeah, yeah.
Because this is a stupid, 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 stupid idea. Not only is it a dumb idea, period, they've already tried it and it bombed. Like somebody said in the chat, that's correct. Home Alone 3 was a complete disaster.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
two, they decouple it from the original movies that were super successful. That's just dumb. It's dumb. There's no good reason to do that. You lose the automatic recognition and the brand appeal.
Oh.
You lose the contiguous story. You lose the longtime fans who are like, why would I want to watch that? Right? People who grew up as a kid, they're not going to want to watch that without it being part of that same thing. And you could easily get Macaulay Culkin to play himself again, to play that kid again, but as a man, this time it's his kid. That'd be great. I would actually probably go watch that. I might even give Disney money for that, to see
And
that.
and special scenes Red Letter Media guys seem to have cleaned them up quite a bit. That's an interesting
Oh,
story, by the way, guys. Red Letter Media and Macaulay Culkin. You might want to check that out because those guys, I think, saved his life. To be honest with you.
yeah.
But anyway, I'm looking through here, and It doesn't seem to be crazy woke, which is good. Although it's got Thompson in it, and this guy is not a good actor. He's really not. I understand he's been on Disney or Nickelodeon or whatever forever. I understand he's been around a long time. He's probably going to be one of the married couple, but he's not good at all. Yeah, but whatever. It's dumb. Just stop it. Stop. Bad bad. I I like Razor Fist. I think most of us do over on the Rageaholic YouTube channel. He's very well spoken and he's eloquent in his own way, isn't he? But one of the things he was just laughing about the whole Afghanistan thing lately and said, "What do you expect?" But I love that the end of it he was like talking to Biden. It says, "Biden, bad dog, bad dog." It was so appropriate, dude, because it's exactly what you need to do. Hit him on
Oh,
his nose in the newspaper, dude.
Disney.
Yeah.
I hate Disney. Have I made it clear that I absolutely despise the Disney Corporation?
How sad
That
is that, though?
for me, not at all. I've always hated Disney, but my hatred is validated every other day. It seems at this point, like they're just terrible. They're not only not good, like agenda wise, they have an agenda and it's disgusting.
Yeah.
They're just a terrible company. They make stupid decisions, and they've been living off of the success and the creativity of great men for decades now. And I'm just so sick of them. I'm so sick of
Yeah.
hearing about Disney. I really wish they'd fold.
And I agree with you with modern Disney. However, you got to keep in mind, I'm from the generation that grew up with Walt Disney.
Yeah.
And therefore, it is a very sad thing for us to see what has happened to Disney. Because Walt Disney, and one of our best shows, we're just sitting here chatting most of the time, right? But occasionally we actually do content, real content. And one of our best shows we've ever done here, I think, was one the Vespasian series. I think was pretty good. But the other one was our special on Walt Disney, and we had a bunch of people. We had Tim Lim in here. We had a bunch of people come in and give their opinions. I created I felt a pretty good layout of a slideshow of Walt Disney and who he was and where he was coming from and what he did. It's a really good episode. If you haven't seen it, that was a TFT on Walt Disney. And he was a truly great American and a great man. He truly was. And it's really disgusting to me to see that, of all people, communists took over his company because he didn't like those Marxist types very much. If you weren't
I
aware,
wasn't a fan.
yeah, he wasn't
Wasn't
a
a fan at
fan.
all.
He wasn't a fan at all. His head must be rolling in that cryo chamber, dude. Um, that's a bullshit rumor, by the way. But yeah, it's
Imagine if that was true, though. How great would that be? That'd just be something. I think that'd be great if they had frozen his head. Like,
yeah,
what?
right.
It's just one of those things that I wish was true because it'd be so ridiculous.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't think it is. I
No,
don't believe
it's
so.
definitely not true. Jeff says Razor Fist is about as eloquent as an Uzi. I get the joke, but I disagree. I think Razor Fist is incredibly eloquent. He's one of the best speakers I've seen on YouTube. I remember when I was a kid, really excited when the Disney specials came on TV back in the 70s. Now I agree, Jeff. That's what I mean. You and I, we grew up with Walt Disney, him himself, as well as the Disney Corporation. Of course, he was. I understand he was dead, but I mean, we were in syndication in the 70s, and we got all of Walt Disney Presents, and we just got all that stuff. We got Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom with Marlon Perkins as well. We had all this kind of stuff. We had Bob Ross. We had Mr. Frickin' Rogers, right?
Yeah,
This is what we grew up with. Wholesome
good old
stuff.
Mr. Rogers.
And I swear to God, I joke around here a lot, and I'm not actually a violent person, probably because I kind of lived in that world for a while, and you got to control yourself, right? But I hear people every now and then will say something bad about Fred Rogers. My God, dude, my God, I want to take an axe to him, which he would
Yeah,
disapprove of greatly. I
that
mean,
was. I never saw it. I actually kind of forgot about it till you just mentioned him. There was that movie with Tom Hanks playing him that came out. Was it last year? The year
I haven't
before?
seen it. Yeah,
Yeah, I never saw it. I don't know if I have no idea if it's any good. I typically like Tom Hanks's performances.
yeah,
Him as a person
Yeah.
is sketchy at best,
Yeah.
but his performances seem to be typically very solid.
Uh-huh. And he
So
seemed
I have no
respectful
idea.
of the content too. So
Yeah,
yeah.
but I think the world became a darker place with just darker as in general. There was just less
No.
light.
Truly great human, rare, ultra rare. Mr. Rogers was a actual kind man, a good man. But I
That's
actually
the key word. He was a good, kind man. He wasn't always nice. People who worked with him would tell you, but he was kind.
he was
You can
kind
be
and
not
good.
nice and kind at the same time. That's doable because those aren't synonyms. People think they are, but they're not. Kindness is for people who need it. Niceness is for stupid people to hide the fact that they're stupid.
Yeah. Well, no, and he's basically wants it to be right. So
Yeah.
he's definitely a perfectionist in that way. But you got to keep in mind, a lot of people that came up in the 80s and 90s got their start on his show. He
Yep.
pumped through so many directors. I mean, frickin' was it Scorsese or some huge name people came out of that show. You don't even realize. He gave so many people opportunities to learn how to do camera work, to learn how to do those things. He was a freaking institution, dude. But anyway, I'm not going to go keep on that. But however,
It's a shame.
it is a shame. My wife and I watched because she doesn't know who he is per se, but I showed the kids to it, and of course they loved it. She loved it because he's lovable. But we saw this video. I don't know, wasn't that long ago, and it's this show. And what they'll do is they'll go and talk to people, tribal people around the world. This one was particularly, I think, in Afghanistan or Pakistan or something like that. Just tribal people, just people, but they're very traditional and they're not they do understand the modern world, but they're not radically connected. They're from the old world, right? Nevertheless, and they'll show them Western things, and and some of it is just dumb, and they kind of shake their head, it's stupid, and they're right. But they showed Mister Rogers. Every one of them had this just broad smile across their face,
Right.
and they don't even, and it's being translated to them, right? Just his presence this is great. This is what you should be showing children. All of them. These
Yeah.
hardcore Islamists, right? They're not violent. They're just people, but they're hardcore traditional people, Orthodox, and they understood Mr. Rogers just from watching him. It's
It's quite
impressive.
tragic
Yeah.
that we don't have nobody. There was nobody around to even kind of. Now nobody could totally fill his shoes, obviously, but who was the next Mister Rogers? You could say Steve Irwin had that effect on children, especially of my
A little
generation,
bit, and he was a nice guy too.
and he was a wonderful man by all accounts. You could say that would probably be the best example of somebody who was just a genuinely good man who succeeded.
Yeah.
And that's very rare in the world, as we see. That's why so many of the elite are just horrible people.
Yeah.
But there are cases where good people can succeed, and we've lost so many of them.
Yeah.
In the last 20 years. Like I just looked up, Mr. Rogers died in 2003. That's crazy to me. Like I remember when he died. I didn't know the year, but I remember it.
Yeah. Time.
And it's just so many just forces of compassion, I think is what it was. He was compassionate. He was kind, compassionate. It wasn't about necessarily being nice. It was about showing humility through compassion. And Steve Irwin was very much the same way, even though he was a crazy man who attacked wild animals. Not attacked, but you know what I mean.
No, he seemed like a nice human, though. He seemed like,
but he was a good person, and he wasn't doing it to hurt the animals. He was doing it to learn from them.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, his passion got him killed.
Yeah.
But that was the chance he was willing to take, obviously, because he did it all the time for everybody's amusement. But my point is we've lost something wholesome. I think another thing we all kind of lost was Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby was a huge force of wholesome goodness in America for a long time. That's ruined now. That's done. Yeah. Whether he was guilty or not, it's done. They killed it.
I think he had sex with ladies, and they did drugs and alcohol while they did it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I personally never believed he was a rapist. I think that's ridiculous. I think it's hyperbolic at
No,
best,
it's
and at worst,
'70s,
just
dude. They
straight
were just doing
slander.
drugs, man.
But
But I
regardless of
get your
that,
point.
his
Yeah,
image is ruined,
yeah,
and that's a shame because
yeah.
it was a good image.
It
It
was.
was worth having.
Yeah. Now, Roger here mentioned Davy Crockett. I used to love that show, dude. He did testify against communism. He was also very much against fascism. Eric says Chester is Captain Kangaroo of comics. I'm Mr. Green Jeans, bitch. All right. Uh, Jeff says he was a reverend, I believe. Yes, he was. He was ordained, actually. Anyway, let's talk about this real quick.
Let's do it. Warner Brothers announces Superman, the complete animated series Blu-ray and digital box set. Yep, I'll
Yep.
probably be getting that.
Yep.
I like that. I like everything about it,
So
and
did
that's
I.
a good choice, Warner Brothers. It's about time you made a good choice.
Yeah.
It's been a while. But you
Yeah.
finally pulled one off.
Now, I understand the Batman animated series was bigger impact. I get it.
Yeah.
And this is in the same vein of that. So if we didn't have Batman, we wouldn't have got this. And I would say Batman is probably better overall, I guess. But I
Yeah,
love this series. I
me
loved
too.
it, man. Yeah.
It
Um,
was one of the last times in a mainstream capacity that had broad appeal, not just comic book runs here or there, where Superman was Superman.
yep.
There was the attempt with Singer's movie where he tried to do it, but it didn't work. I don't know. There's a million reasons it didn't work. He just didn't. And other than that, there hasn't in a mainstream level there hasn't been anything where it was Superman.
Well, Christopher
Except this.
Reeves. Christopher Reeves
Yeah, that's
could
what
do the softness that in the movie you're talking about that was just softness and creepy. But he could do the softness, but he also could be manly at the same time. And that chemistry that Christopher Reeves brought to it was pretty impressive. Yeah, that show.
it,
That's what. Oh,
I,
sorry. As you're thinking, right?
I was trying to. Adrian, are you there? I dragged you in and then you left.
Sorry, I'm confused.
Hello, Adrian.
I think that if you wanted to, and I'm being serious here, if you wanted to make a Superman film that was just on its own and just a great Superman film, that there's many episodes in this show
Hmm.
that you could just basically do. Just do
Yep.
them live action,
Yep.
and there you go.
And it's pure
Easily.
Superman too. Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. I would have to say, of course, as a kid, I grew up knowing who Superman was, right?
Yeah.
Watched like some of the stuff that had been out in the 80s and stuff. But this show right here is my Superman. Like, this is how I know who Superman is.
And he's very classic Superman in this too, Adrian.
Very much so. This is why I like classic Superman. Like, I didn't get into the whole death of Superman thing in the 90s or any of that stuff. This show is my view of Superman and has always been my view of Superman. So if the comics don't meet that, I'm out. It doesn't appeal to me.
There have been a few comics that have come out in the last 20 years or so, comic series, that got it right. And he felt like Superman, and they told a good story and had a moral to the story typically, or multiple depending on the chapter or whatever. But other than that, as a whole, they haven't done Superman justice in a long time in DC,
No, they
and
haven't, dude.
they know it. They know they haven't. That's why they keep trying to skirt him off and do other things with his son or with Connor or whatever.
But then again, I would like to see that story. However, I do have to interject here. I apologize. Captain Canada has triggered me. He said we had Mr. Dress Up here in Canada. Another guy that was Mr. Rogers. Like, men don't dress up, Captain Canada. This explains a lot about why Canada is Canada.
Oh man, that's funny.
Okay. Sorry, I'm untriggered now. I got it out. It's out. Okay.
It's something that breaks my heart that we got a good Wonder Woman movie, and we did. The first one was a good movie.
Yeah, it was watchable.
Good, and the characterization of Wonder Woman was
good when it was Captain America.
Real good. We got a good Captain America movie as well.
We did. Yeah.
But as a Captain, the first one was the only real Captain America. The rest of them were other stuff.
They were.
But
that's probably why I liked the first one so much, yeah.
And yet, in the age of superheroes, in the age of the MCU, we cannot get Superman right. That's intentional. It's intentional, is what it is.
I for sure, and it's a shame because Henry Cavill, I think, would make a good
Yep.
actual Superman.
Yep. I agree.
He shows signs of it every now and then. There's like a little glimmer.
Yeah.
At the end of both Justice League movies, both cuts of it, that was great. That the last parts of those movies where he's fighting and whatever and helping and saving and da. Yes, all of that's Superman. I loved every second of it.
Yep.
But other than that, aside from a couple scenes here or there, it was not Superman. It didn't have the right feel. He didn't have the right feel. And that's just, there's just no excusing it. There's no excusing it.
What do you expect when you put a German in charge of shit?
Good point. Good point. I mean, he did fight the Germans in World War II, so
Right, and the Japanese
made them look like fools. So
yeah. But another thing that's great about this series, Lex Luthor is done perfect.
Yeah,
he's perfect, dude.
This is the Lex that I know.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I know I watched the movies. The movies are good, like from the 80s or whatever. But Lex never felt like Lex to me in those movies. This Lex is Lex.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And because the thing that those movies you're talking about and other things don't understand about Lex Luthor, yes, he's a villain, but he's not a villain at the same time.
Right.
He is a humanist to the extreme.
To the extreme. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, and this series laid that out very, very clearly.
Right.
I love this show. Loved it. Yeah. Jimmy
at
Olsen
times
is actually Jimmy Olsen.
Yes.
At times you could almost see Lex's point of view.
Yeah.
Because really the big problem for him was that it was Superman that was in it was the problem. Like he was in the way of him doing the things that he wanted to do, and he wanted to do the things for the better of humanity.
Yeah. Was
it a good way of doing things? Probably not. But like he's not like a villain per se. He's very layered. And
yeah, no, it's not like the Joker who just wants to see things destroyed.
I can describe him real easily.
Exactly.
Lex in this series especially is not a bad guy, but he's not a good guy either.
No.
Yeah,
and because of that, him and Superman clash a lot. And Superman is pretty much always right, but that doesn't mean that Lex is wrong. It just means that his approach or his method or whatever is wrong.
It's tyrannical.
So
he's tyrannical.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's what Superman trying to teach him a lot. That's kind of the point of their dichotomy. Isn't so much that Lex is just pure evil, because he's not, and he's horrible and wrong all the time. He's not. He's brilliant, but that doesn't mean he's right either. There's a middle ground there, and that's where Lex has to walk. And he also has to be menacing and intimidating, and while also just being a dude, because technically all he is a dude. He's a really smart, rich dude, but he's a dude, and compared to Superman, he's nothing. Superman can wipe him out with a breath, literally, just breathe him, blow on him, and he'd die.
And he never does.
But he never does.
And in this run, the Parasite run was really good, dude.
Yeah.
That was excellent what they did with Parasite. And that's the good thing about this series, that all the villains were displayed well, just like in the Batman animated one. I mean, they were laid out really well. So I'm happy with this. This needs to be bought, is what this needs to be.
In fact, it's more important than laying out your hero well. You need to do that too, but if your villain doesn't work, the hero doesn't matter. It's as simple as that. You're only as good as the dragons you slay, and if your dragon is nonsense, then you don't matter at the end of the day as a hero. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons Lex is great, because he works perfectly as a foil to Superman, because he's not a foil to Superman. He can't fight him and beat him. He can't overpower him, but he can outthink him. He can get ahead of him. He can make Superman make mistakes, and that's what he does in this series.
Yeah,
and that's brilliant. Yeah. That's brilliantly done.
Yeah, and my kids grew up with this too, so that's a good thing as well. As well as some of the other kids.
I hope this means that we might see a re-release of the Justice League show.
Yeah, that was a good show too. That was fun. That was a little bit more down to earthy, where Superman is not Superman. But yeah, no, that was a good show too. Absolutely, as well as Young Justice, and that whole run of that that came out of the Batman animated series. I mean, it's just that whole run after that, all the way up until what 6, 7 years ago when they decided to literally cancel Teen Titans, which is ridiculously popular, and put in Teen Titans Go, frickin' Steven Universe to the rescue. Up until that point, there was a lot of great stuff, a lot of great
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. And so this is definitely something I think needs to be bought. And Eric says, "Wait, Jimmy Olsen isn't black the horror." Well, I get that joke, but the reason why I said it's really Jimmy Olsen is because Jimmy Olsen, he is young and naive in some ways, but he's also eager and brave, right? And he's
Yeah.
always
He should
portrayed
feel
as this
like
coward, stupid coward.
exactly. He should feel like
Yeah.
Superman's like Clark's kid brother.
Yeah,
That's what he's trying to be. He's trying to prove himself to everybody. And because of that, he's not a coward. He'll go and help people, or try to, with his
yeah,
limited capabilities, and get himself put in horrible situations. That's why Superman has to come save him all the time.
that's right. That's right. But you know what I mean? It's an important distinction, right?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
let's see here. Stupid says concerning wholesale content being despoiled. I feel a certain trepidation regarding Rob Zombie being handed the Munster property. I was going to talk about that a little bit, but there's so much little information on. I'm going to wait until we have more.
Yeah.
But and now Rob Zombie, I think you need to understand Rob Zombie a little bit better than most people do. People see him as this face painted, sometimes singer turned director, and his movies are very debauched and dark and they're just ugly movies.
Yeah.
Not that they're not entertaining, but they are ugly. However, the guy himself, if you ever listen to him speak, he's actually quite the intellectual. He's not
He's
what you
super
think he is,
intellectual.
huh?
He's super intellectual.
Yes, he is. And he's probably because keep in mind he's my age, right? And he's probably got a hold of it because he has a love affair with monsters, as everybody in my generation does.
Yeah.
Will he make it darker and a little dark humored? I'm sure, but I don't assume it's going to be this debauchery that he
Well,
puts out in his other films. I
think
think
about
What
when
did
the
he get? What
Munsters
did he get a hold
originally
of?
came out.
the
The
monsters.
Munsters franchise. Uh,
Oh.
think about when that came out. It was dark humor for the time.
It
Like
was.
that
Yeah,
was
it's pretty
considered
dark.
a very dark show, and a lot of people wouldn't let their kids watch it and all this
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
Now we look at it and it's just silly, right? It's obviously silly,
Yeah.
but compared to for the time frame, it was considered quite dark.
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect. I like Rob Zombie as an artist, as a musician and stuff, and I actually like his movies. They're not good movies, but I like them. I know what he's going for. I know what he's doing.
He's
Yeah,
doing.
it's shock value.
Yeah, he knows
And
what he's doing when he's doing it. He knows exactly the influence he's taking from,
yes,
Yep.
and exactly the type of film he's making.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
so
have a
I'm
feeling that if he wanted to make an actual serious film, he could probably do it easily.
He could.
yeah,
He could, but he's got his shtick, and I get that.
Yeah.
yes,
And to give you a little understanding, as debauched as those movies are, keep in mind his absolutely stunningly gorgeous wife, who was in the series of movies with Haig and those other guys. She does play this crazy, wacky, murderous, sexy girl, but you never see her naked, not once, right? I mean, it's not. It's he sells it as more debauched than it really is, and he has the ability to do that. So I get the concern, Newfie, but I'm not sure. I think I'd wait and see with that. But when we have more information, I will definitely talk about it. I saw it. I was going to talk about it today, but I decided that there's just not enough information to talk about it. But we will be talking about it for sure because I love the monsters and I do enjoy Rob Zombie as well. Anyway, I do have. I got see. All right, we don't have to talk about this very long, but go ahead.
DC Comics retcons Tim Drake, shows him attracted to men. You know what my response to this was? Who the shit gives a shit about
Yeah.
Tim Drake?
Yeah, and but here's the thing. Of course, another one is gay,
Yeah.
and people outside of America are really starting to question, is America like 50, 60% black? Is America have like, half the population gay? I mean, people are literally starting to question these things because of the movies seem to portray in comics and everything seems to be portraying it that way. So here's another one. Another one. He's got to make Tim Drake gay for some reason and they just gate him up. So, all right, great, wonderful. I'd like to have a date with you. Okay, yay. And so yeah, you
Like
go
the
ahead,
argument,
huh?
I like the argument that I keep hearing that there was signs throughout all of Tim Drake's history that he was
Where?
queer to begin with.
When?
They can't present those. I've not seen them yet.
Oh, you mean yeah? They don't have facts. Yeah, of course. Anyway, we don't need
Listen,
to talk about this. It's just dumb.
I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna leave it with this. There's only one Robin. His name's Dick Grayson. Everybody else is a pretender to his cowl, and that's it.
It's true.
It is true. It is true. But anyway, just more stupidity. You're not going to sell more comics with it. You're not. Because these people still think they still live on the old premise that any press is good press, right? And that's not true anymore, dude. It's really
No.
not.
Yeah.
Outrage marketing was a temporary solution to a lack of attraction that they were getting with their corporate bull crap that everybody was
Yeah.
turned off by. But that's temporary. That was a short term. It wasn't even really a solution. It was a short term fix. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It's like band-aiding a gaping hole in your arm. Sure, I guess it'll work for a bit, but eventually that thing's going to fly off. And that's basically where we're at now. It just doesn't work at all anymore. Enough people have gotten wise, and they just don't fall for it. They're just like, yeah, whatever.
There was a little bit of outrage from the start, I guess, from some people. Like you can expect certain people to make a deal about it, but I'm starting to see where more and more people are realizing the best reaction is no reaction.
Mm, hmm
Don't
That's
even
true.
give them your attention.
Yep. Because it's dumb. Yep. Next.
I honestly don't care. I hope they make all superheroes gay.
Oh boy, look at this. Dune Part 2, Zendaya will be the lead character in this.
Sequel. Yeah. All right. Now,
Sure, let's
yeah,
do it.
no, yeah, no, okay, let me lay this out a little bit and then we'll have response. All right. I'm definitely a fan of Dune. The thing that frustrates me with Dune is they keep telling the first book over and over and over again instead of continuing on the story because the real interesting and bulk of the story comes with Paul Atreides' son, right? That's where the story goes. But they never want to tell that story for some reason because that's where it gets epic. Especially with the CG we are capable of doing these days, man, that would be amazing. However, the first book just seems to be having to be remade over and over and over and over and over and over again. And what these idiots are doing here, Villanova, who, fair enough, he makes some good flicks that I do like. But what they've done is they've taken the Dune book and split it into three movies because everything has to be a trilogy, of course, and which is dumb. Tell it in one story, and then go on to the second book, and then the third book, because those three books together are the Paul Atreides story. Why not tell the frickin' Paul Atreides story, right? Instead of doing the first book over and over, especially breaking into three pieces. So this is what you're going to get. This first movie that's coming out here sometime the end of this year is going to be the Harkonnens taking Arrakis. Okay, that's it. The very end of the movie, his family will run into the Fremen, and that's where he'll see Zendaya. She'll probably because he is in her dreams, so they probably will get some dream sequences of her throughout in the early movie, especially. But basically, you're not going to see Zendaya until the very end. And he's going to see her like, oh, "You're from my dream," and that'll be the end of the movie. Okay. The next movie, of course, is which is dumb. It's going to be boring, and if it even gets the second movie, it's going to kill the series for sure. Because basically, what you're doing is you're taking a whole movie of him learning who the Fremen are. That's what the whole movie would be. Because the third book, or the third, not book, the third piece of breaking the first book up would be him going and taking back Arrakis from the Harkonnen. Okay, so the middle movie will be about him learning who the Fremen are, and Chani teaching him, who they are. And in the book, of course, this is all from Paul's point of view. The whole book, the whole 3 books, is his story. It's about Paul Atreides, and in the book, she is basically us. She is us. She's the information dump, explaining what the Fremen are and going through all the details. She's there for us. She represents us.
Yeah.
Chani certainly has, who's being played by Zendaya, which I don't really think is a very good actress. Um, she does have a role to play, an important one. And she's basically teaching him who the Fremen are. Now, there's a lot of argument going on right now. Because the keep in mind that Villanova himself said the second movie is she's the star. She's the protagonist. It's all about Zendaya. Zendaya's Johnny. Now, a lot of the discussions going on is that's bullshit because it is bullshit. But I did hear the Midnight's Edge people kind of put an interesting twist because they're saying, well, he could be just having to play Hollywood politic, and it could be that, as in the first movie is not from Paul's point of view; it's from his mother's. The whole movie is being seen through her eyes. She's representing us. Then in the second movie, maybe the same thing is happening. It's all through Zendaya's eyes as we see Paul learn and grow. And if that's true, that's fine. All right. But we know right well how Hollywood is. We've had discussion how we're all gun shy now, right? And,
Mhm.
I would not be shocked at all if literally they killed Paul and made her the new savior. That would not shock me with Hollywood, as dumb as it sounds. Anyway, I could talk about this for probably an hour, but I
Yeah.
won't. That's it.
No
There you
point.
go.
It's dumb. They shouldn't even be making a Dune movie because one, they've already made a Dune movie. They've made Dune miniseries. They've made all sorts of stuff, and like you said, they never they never finished the damn story.
No,
Never
Um,
translates right into the film.
no,
some
no.
books just simply don't translate, and I think Dune's one of them. And maybe it could be done, but it's never been done properly yet,
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of
and that's a
esoteric
shame.
material, right?
Yeah, it's and it's thick stuff.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
hard to translate into a totally different medium because it's so dense.
I mean, it's a
And
hard book to read for a lot of people. So.
It is.
yes,
It is like reading the Bible. Yeah, that's true.
so the
Or Lord of
problem
the
that they're
Rings.
going to always run into is that it's hard to just like it's hard to tell to take a video game like a 40-hour video game and turn it into a movie. It's because there's so much density to a video game because of gameplay, right? And
Yeah.
the game this is often what you make of it because you control parts of the game, right? It's a game, you control parts of it. So it's hard to interpret that onto a picture, which is all one perspective typically, or forced outside of perspective. You're not in control. Whereas a book, you kind of are in control. You're not in control of where the story goes, but you're in control of how you interpret it, typically, because things get left to your imagination, and you can just stop reading, right? So if for some reason you decide to take a break for a week or two, you've stopped. Whereas a movie doesn't stop like that. It keeps going. Now, I guess technically, yeah, you can pause it, but who pauses a movie halfway through and then picks it up in a week? Like
Right.
who does
Yeah,
that?
that's rare. And another thing, keep in mind that the director here, Villanova, who I do like his stuff. Keep that in mind. He is good at what he does. Keep in mind that he said the performances from Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya, whatever her real name is, are explosive and amazing. And I'm like, I don't know who this Chalamet is, but I know who Zendaya is. I don't believe that
Yeah.
for half a second, dude.
Yeah, I
That
don't
girl
believe
is
that.
not explosive anything. Diarrhea, possibly.
I
Um,
just wish they'd stop with Dune. There's first of all, there's plenty of other relatively well known or even obscure like sci-fi slash fantasy slash whatever you want to call Dune space operas they could adapt or just make new ones that would work infinitely better that aren't this thick dense material that's hard to literally carve out a story of into a different medium. It just would make so much more sense for some of these other things, and they've tried it with others, right? We've had a couple attempts here or there, but again, they fail, and they fail for the same reasons because it's hard to take something from a written perspective like that, where you get to interpret a lot of it because that's just what reading is, and turn it into something where it's a forced perspective, right? This is
But
what's
you-
happening. This is what this looks like. This is what this sounds like. You can't, unless you're a crazy person, when you're reading a book, you don't hear voices, right? You don't know what that person
Speak
sounds
for
like. You don't
yourself.
necessarily know the exact inflection of the way that person said a thing. And then you hear it in a movie and it's completely different from what you're expecting. You're like, that's what? Like, that's not what I was expecting. Sometimes it works,
suggest
but
Hollywood to come up with something original.
I did.
Yeah,
I
that's
said,
not
just
gonna
give it a shot, right?
Well,
Just try it.
Well, keep in mind that they did replace Leet Kanes with a black lady, right? And it's
Yeah.
like seems to be the only black person in the movie, and it's like, oh, that doesn't look weird at all, right?
Yeah.
And of course, keep in mind that was Sadao, who played that character in the original one, the amazing Sadao, by the way.
Yeah.
He was really cool in it. So it's like, yeah, okay, fine, yeah, dumbasses. The rest of it looks fine. Oh, look, we did have another race swap here. Okay.
I think it would make far more sense with a universe like Dune, like I've said a few times, it's super thick, dense. To instead of trying to tell the stories from the books, just tell a different story based in the same universe.
You could do
Just
that.
come up with your own and tell a story with it as make the books and the stories there a backdrop to what you're doing. I think one of the reasons why the Star Wars, EU was so successful for a lot of people and so beloved is because that's what they did. They took this Star Wars galaxy and they just expanded it. They just took more. They took this as the rules, and largely they followed it. There were some changes here or there, but largely it was just an expansion of what we already knew and loved. Whereas what they do with these movies is they try and take them and they don't expand upon them. They have to shrink it because they can't fit it all in a movie. So it has to be shrunk. And that always feels bad. That doesn't feel good. I think one of the only exceptions where they did it, I don't know. I guess that wouldn't be fair. So no, not even that. Screw that one. I won't even say that one. The reason why it's hard to take a big fantasy novel or a big sci-fi novel or whatever,
Particularly
and
sci-fi.
turn it into a movie is because of the density. It's just too much to try and compact down to 2 hours or an hour and a half or whatever the length of this film's going to be, without leaving a whole bunch of stuff out, which is what always happens. So Lord of the Rings, that's one of the best ones we've ever seen, the original Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, and even he left a ton of stuff out. Ton of stuff is left out.
Yeah, but that was a good adaptation, though.
Yes.
However,
That's what the DVDs were for, so that they could add all the other stuff.
that's
even
true.
that,
And I watched
there's
all
still-
of them multiple times.
There's still all kinds of stuff missing.
Oh yeah,
even in the
Yeah,
DVDs.
yeah, Tom Bombadil's definitely not in there. But
Yep.
that's a self-writing anyway. But I'm reading here, and I kind of wonder if Midnight Edge didn't read the Italian interview, because in the interview he says that Zendaya would emerge as the protagonist, okay, of the adaptation's next installment, taking the reins from Paul Atreides.
Yeah.
That's very straightforward there, guys.
Disturbing. That's
Yeah.
pretty disturbing.
What are you doing
Now, I could say maybe he'll do something. He won't do what we're thinking. He probably will, but maybe he won't kill him off or get rid of him somehow. And instead, it'll shift perspective, right? So Paul's still there doing the Paul thing, and the story's still largely about him, but it's being told from her perspective instead.
Yeah, but even that's dumb. That's going to piss the fans off. And understand this is a fan-based viewership you're dealing with here.
But what's going to piss him off more, killing him, or at least he gets to still do the cool stuff, and you just get to see it through her eyes?
I think either way is going to piss him off. And Zendaya cannot carry a film, dude. There's no way that girl can carry a film.
Obviously, but what's probably going to happen is he's going to die. he's going out, and then she's going to be the new
and
hero,
she's
and
pregnant
blah blah blah.
with his baby, I'm sure. Because the way they're breaking the book up, the third part of him taking Arrakis back from the Harkonnen, she's not even in that. I understand the movie that you will watch a long time ago. She was there at the end, as she wasn't a very important character, really. But that movie was not super faithful to the book, to be honest with you. It was fun. It was fun adaptation.
This is another problem I've heard rumor about with this film, is that he took influence from that movie. meaning that because they change things, he may very well keep some of those things that they changed
Yeah,
themselves.
like the warding, the weirding modules. That was
Oh,
not in the
yeah.
Yeah.
book. Yeah,
Another example of this, another really great example, is Starship Troopers. Starship Troopers movie, while I love it, is not really anything like the book. The
no,
book is a completely different beast and better in many ways, but I still love the movie for what it is.
yeah,
That being said, it's a problem. It's a problem when you try to take something written by somebody else in a literary format and turn it into a cinematic format.
it is
It just
difficult.
it largely doesn't work. We've seen it over and over again, and they just keep trying, especially with these same properties. They keep trying over and over and over and over, and doesn't work. Now, the other way does work. You can take a movie and turn it into a book. They do it all the time. Like
They
I said,
do.
the EU is a great example.
Yeah,
But the reverse just doesn't seem to work.
yeah.
Not
It's
often.
harder.
There's
It's
occasions.
harder. Oh,
There's exceptions,
yeah,
but
but however, I would say this though, in that in the movie, the adaptation that came out,
yeah.
the biggest change from the book was the rain at the end, the flooding,
Yeah.
because that actually destroys the entire series that came after it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was like apocalyptically stupid thing to put in the movie. However, I love that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what to say.
Well,
But
the other thing about the Starship Troopers movie too was the fact that they tried to once again have some Nazi analogy
Yeah.
there that wasn't there to begin
that's
with,
true.
but because
Yeah.
they considered Heinlein a Nazi for some reason, the guy that fought the Nazis, yeah, that makes sense. Um, that because it was a militaristic
Yeah. Well, where in truth
world.
it's Game of Thrones in space is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
And yeah, I agree with your point on that. So, but the first movie is what it is. It's an adaptation. So it's not saying you can't adapt things. Of course, you can. You have to do
and
a film. The problem is,
my
uh, well, and
my
well, one.
favorite adaptation to the Dune movie was Sting. He was
Oh God, he was
fantastic.
freaking epic, and he was he was so epic, dude. But anyway, let's not get into that. But here's the thing: when they first announced that Zendaya was going to be playing Chani, there was two responses that came out. One was, why this very mediocre actress, right? That was my response. Other people were why are you race changing her? Well, she's a Fremen, and her being an ethnic person is not a problem at all if you read the book, right? The Fremen are
Mm.
I didn't think that was a big deal at all,
no,
actually.
not at all. I don't mind her being ethnic. Matter of fact, I'd rather her be Middle Eastern, to be honest with you, if I had my druthers. But that's not the issue. The issue is Zendaya. She's not a very good actress. She's been in a bunch of stuff. She's not evolved or progressed at all. Whereas we've seen other
Yeah,
young actors do progress. She's not. She just doesn't
she's
have the chops, man.
she's this other girl that they keep trying to put that just like one of many of the girls that they keep trying to push on us in films
Yeah.
to be
Well,
to like.
because she's ethnically pleasing to them, and she's attractive. She is attractive. Without question, she's attractive. So I
Sure.
don't mind her. I think she actually looks good for Chani. I'd rather her be a little bit older though, but at least look a
Yeah, I
little
thought she
older.
was older and
She
kind
is
of
older.
wasn't
Yeah, she
like
is
I always
definitely.
pictured her older.
Yeah, she's almost motherly in her interaction with Paul, right? Um, so I didn't mind the look of her. I just don't think she has the chops. This guy I don't know at all. I know nothing about him. In the trailer, he annoys the shit out of me, and he doesn't strike me as being Paul at all. Being a rich boy in the beginning, fine, okay, fine. This guy can do this, but he doesn't look to me like he can become Paul Atreides, the Messiah. Does he?
No.
Yeah, I have questions about this guy too.
Yeah. I don't know.
No.
And then the whole problem on top of it, though, Thundero, is this. Dennis Villanova is a good director.
Yeah.
He is. So and then that makes you question as well. So, are the supposition of Midnight's Edge that maybe he's just playing the Hollywood game because he has no choice? Uh, is that true? Is this just him giving lip service, or is he just another woke libtard?
Yes to both,
I think it's
because we know for most of them their wokeness is performative. They don't actually believe
That
what
is
they say
true.
they
That is
believe.
true. Yeah.
So it's probably yes to both. It's both at the same time. It's projection. It's him being forced into it because if the culture was different, he wouldn't do it at all, and we know that. Like we know most of these people making this nonsense wouldn't do the nonsense they're doing,
Yeah.
but they do it because they don't have a choice in their eyes.
Well,
Um,
yeah, but
so I think it's probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, but you know what Zendaya is going to do. The same thing she does every other time. She's going to sit there. She's going to have some bland dialogue. She's going to have zero charisma on her, and the teen boys are going to have semi chubs. That's it. That's
Yeah.
all she's bringing to your movie, dude. Unless there's just this ridiculously dramatic, radical shift in her ability because Villanova is such an amazing director that he can pull these amazing performances out of people. I don't know that's true because all the movies I've seen with him, he's starting out with some really high end actors.
Here's what's going to happen in this movie. I'm going to make a prediction. The guy playing Paul is going to do a fantastic job and surprise you, and
Maybe.
you'd actually want to see more of him. And Zendaya is going to be Zendaya, but you're still going to get Zendaya.
Yeah.
So I think what'll happen is a lot of people. It'll end up being one of those situations like with The Witcher, where we've all
Yeah.
said we love him as The Witcher. We
He's
want to
good.
see more of him,
Yeah.
and instead they'll kill this guy off as Paul. They'll kill Paul off, or in some way infirm him, and that'll be the end of that.
Yeah.
And then the next movie will either bomb or just never happen.
Yeah, no, they'll kill it if they do that. I don't even know if it'll make it past this first one because
it
I
ain't
have a
making it
feeling
past.
because
I'm gonna make a prediction. It won't make it past this first one.
yeah, I don't think it will because one of the things that Villanova does that is good and bad is he takes his movies and himself very seriously. Very seriously. And that can be a good thing sometimes. Dune is a serious story, fair enough. However, just from looking at the trailers, it looks like they're taking this radically serious. And you got to pull it off, though. You got to pull it off. Because that can hurt you a lot unless you just absolutely make just radically epic. Because keep in mind, Lord of the Rings, for instance, was an incredibly successful series, but and it at times was very serious, but it also had humor and
Yeah,
color in it. Villanova doesn't do humor, and he doesn't do color at all. If you ever seen his movies, they're
Yeah.
literally gray. So he's this is a razor's edge thing he's playing with here. And Dune is by the fan base of Dune, it is a sacred cow, man. So
Yes. Well, also let's not forget that for all Peter Jackson did good with the Lord of the Rings films, The Hobbit was a mess.
oh my God, yeah, that's true. That is true. Well, it should have just been one or two movies. That's the reason why. But anyway, that's what we got for you today, guys. We did talk about a lot of interesting things, some fun things. It's really sad to see what the current administration in America is doing. It's just a debacle, dude. It's literally a clusterfuck, literally.
you know what we
Uh,
didn't do, Chester? We didn't talk about Nobody.
we should talk about Nobody, and we'll do that next week because I have the movie and I will be watching it. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I'm going to watch it this week for sure. My wife wants to see it because she loves Better Call Saul. I've heard nothing but glowing reviews of it, so I want to check it out. I have it. I have it in my possession, so I will be watching it. And we'll talk about it next week because did you watch it?
Yes.
And what is your overall impression?
I'll wait till next week to give it, but needless to say, John Wick is infinitely better.
Oh, yeah, that's like lightning in a bottle. I
Well,
don't.
it's written by the same guy, and this one came off to me. And I don't know how old this guy is, but I'm assuming he's about the same age as the main character. And this one was more of a power fantasy for him and men like him,
Mhm.
instead of just a movie about a guy who you should not cross
Oh,
and
I
who is
see.
crossed.
Yeah. Well, I never, I never anticipated it to be John Wick. I didn't have that in my head. So. Anyway, all right, guys, thank you very much. We're going to get out of here. Keep in mind that tomorrow we do have our continuation of our campaign. It's coming to an end. We're getting toward the end of it, so that's fun. And of course, on Thursday, I'm not sure what they're doing. Adrian, do you know what the Drawn Recorder is this week?
Not actually.
No, I don't either. But we have a list of things. Well, I should
I
say
think
they
it's
have a list.
pirates. I think we decided on pirates.
Pirates, okay. They do
Yeah.
have a list of things that are all of them are pretty interesting, except for JD's choice. We should never do that one. Anyway, so Adrian, you got anything you want to say to the people?
Definitely do JD's. I think we should definitely do JD's choice.
No.
Um, the only thing I have to say is, okay, so I'm a big fight shonen fan, obviously.
Okay.
I'm watching Jujutsu Kaisen, and it's fantastic. It's one of my favorite shows that I've watched in years. So check it out if you get a chance.
A show about a jujitsu tournament?
No. It's Jujutsu Kaisen. Uh, it's about a group of sorcerers in modern times fighting curses that manifest into monsters. But there's all kinds of twists and turns. And the guy that created it, he grew up on all the shonen that was huge, like from Dragon Ball on, basically. But like the big three, he grew up in the time of the big three. He's only like 29 years old, and he's just taken the shonen game and he's changing it. It's
Huh.
the same, but it's not. It's good.
Well,
It's good stuff.
unless there's some other meaning for the kanji, I'd have to research that. But because Jujutsu Kaisen means jujitsu tournament.
Mm.
It's literal English translation. So that's interesting. Maybe I'll have to look at the kanji. Maybe they're using it in some other way I'm not aware of. Certainly possible. But cool. Check it out, guys. I haven't even heard that one yet. Thundero?
All I have to say is something that my friend Harrow from my book is going to say at one point. I had talked about earlier about kindness, and another form of kindness is charity. And what he says is charity is not for the weak. Charity is not a show of strength. We do not engage in it for strength. We engage in it for one day we might be weak, or even once we were. Charity is an admission of our own mortality, the humility and fragility of our own lives realized through a simple act of grace. Be charitable to each other, be kind to each other. Don't always be nice. Be good.
Be good, like Mr. Rogers.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much, and later.